96, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Francis and Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Scott, Sportsworthy, and Ryan Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours. A lot to get into, both the Tigers and Grizzlies in action tonight. Still got a lot of Super Bowl to talk about. We've got trade deadline right around the corner tomorrow afternoon, waiting to see what other deals are made before that deadline. About time we start the show tomorrow afternoon. So a lot to get into over these next 3 hours. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Bryant, doing well. Any chance Jimmy Butler doesn't get dealt?
Yes.
You think they could? Well, how does it play out the rest of the year for him? Suspended? Sitting out?
I think I saw a tweet, what was it, 2 days ago, maybe yesterday, that almost sounded like he might be changing his tune as we get closer to the deadline, and maybe, a
couple missed checks to motivate you.
Sure, and would be, open to. I think he's always been open to getting back to the table and getting an extension, but
with Miami,
yeah, if the price is right, and so I think he's kind of opening up a little bit more to that since we saw, since what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I still think I think there's still a chance he gets traded, but I do think there's a chance he doesn't get traded. I don't know what happens over these next 23 or so hours.
Feels like it should be wild. We think that every time around any deadline, especially basketball and baseball, not as much NFL. Mm-hmm. NFL has picked it up through the years.
Sure.
It used to be hardly nothing in season.
Yeah. No, not at all. But I mean, this trade deadline's already been wild. I mean, if nothing else happens,
that's right,
the rest of the time, this would be a wild trade deadline.
Yeah.
Anything else
happen with the countdown clock on.
Yeah, if Jimmy Butler doesn't get moved, I think a lot of people would be surprised. But it's still been an insane trade deadline week, I guess you could say. But I still think moves will be made. Kevin Durant, there's several teams that are, asking about him, trying to get a deal done for him. I think, there's a chance he could get moved. It sounds like Brandon Ingram could be moved. A couple teams that are trying to work trades out.
Maybe wholesale in New Orleans.
It really could be. And so I do think there's still a lot of, marquee guys that could be traded over the next 24 hours. Chris Middleton, an NBA champ, was traded earlier this morning to the Wizards, which I hate to be him. But, so we'll see what happens over these next 23 hours. But it's already been wild.
With that trade, he went from a current 5 seed till next year.
That's right. And so I'm sure he wasn't thrilled with that trade, but it's what happens around the deadline.
He knows he's going to be off April, May, and June.
Yeah, early vacation for him. He certainly knows that.
Right now, Miami in the 7 seed in the East. A Jimmy Butler that gets happy and settles down, plays well. They are notorious for getting hot at the right time. Great organization, great coach. Yeah. Very fundamentally sound organization. Looks to me like the best they can move up is about 2 or 3 spots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Kind of no man's land.
Yeah, I mean, they've just kind of been there, bouncing around.
They've been in that spot before and done well, though.
Sure. And so, I mean, I think if you're them, you'd love, I mean, you're right there with the Pistons. You'd love to get out of that play-in group, and so I think they could do that. But I'll be curious to see if we get any news tonight or tomorrow morning, because it feels like something's going to happen.
We want news, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. I want all 3 of those guys.
Do we want it here for the Memphis Grizzlies?
Be good for business. I mean,
I don't.
Be good to talk about.
I'm on team sit still.
I am too. But in terms of just talking about stuff,
sure,
it's a whole lot.
Right.
It's more interesting to talk about moves being made than them sitting still.
It is. It's like this day was very once famous for. This was the national signing day in college football. The only one. It still is.
Yeah.
And there are some moves today, but it's not anything close to what it was like in the 90s and early 2000s.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, haven't even thought once today about what's happening in
hardly
college football.
once
Not a second has it dawned on me.
And worried about somebody from wherever and every high school lineman running a 4.240.
Exactly. I think I was reading something yesterday. I wonder if I wrote it down. It was a crazy stat that I think all but 2 of the top 150 prospects in the 247 Sports composite signed in December.
Right. So
it's crazy.
Now that doesn't mean they're going there.
No, but
because we know how volatile things are, but they probably will for next year at least.
Yeah.
Wonder how many of those will stay 3 years.
Yeah. I mean,
I wonder how many of those, if we set a number of games played at 35, 35.
Yeah.
How many of those will go over that at that college they sign with in December?
I put the number at whatever. I'll take the under.
I'd ride the under every time, too.
I mean, we've already had one quarterback that signed with Oregon, was up there in January, practiced everything, and then once they got kicked out of the playoffs, he transferred. Hadn't even started freshman year of college yet. Was already transferred and is now at Cal, I believe. So I mean, it's a wild world.
And this used to be, high holy day. I never was wild about it. Had to do it because everybody's so interested in it. And it was a little, I say had to do it, it was a little bit everybody running around in circles doing it because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
And I just never really could get passionate about it. I just wasn't that hung up on every high school running back being the next Herschel Walker. And I don't think that person's come around.
No, certainly not.
Some good ones, but
but it's way different now. I mean, I remember being in school and watching on my phone all day and seeing who's signing where and everything.
It mattered. It was important.
It's completely changed.
But I just didn't think it was just as big as some wanted to treat it.
Right.
And I thought it was a whole lot of running around like Mad Men for.
Well, I mean, it's media days. I mean, it is. We're gonna sell the hope of this 17-year-old and what he can do for our program, and who knows if in 2 or 3 years, certainly now, even then, who knows in 2 or 3, 4 years if he'll even be a factor on this.
Now, I don't mind wherever today or back in December, whenever the celebrations they got wild, they got elaborate, but a lot of hard work went into. Them being able to achieve a goal, so I didn't mind that, but some of the trying to make it a big deal was really off-putting tonight. The Grizzlies are in Toronto, so if they made a deal tonight, somebody could be getting the news on the way back. No, they wouldn't return until tomorrow.
That's right, yeah. So, and that's kind of the thing, and I know a lot of people with Phoenix, with Kevin Durant and a couple other guys on that Phoenix team that could be moved. A lot of eyes on them if they're playing. I think Kevin Durant's already been listed as out tonight. And so, that's always the day before, the day of trade deadline. Who's on the status report? Are there guys sitting? Are they? I know Marcus Smart is listed as questionable tonight. I guarantee you, if Marcus Smart does not play tonight for the Grizzlies in Toronto, there are going to be people saying, well, of course, he didn't play because they're in the middle of negotiating a trade that he's involved in. Of course, he's not going to play tonight.
And he can have some fun at a lot of people, at everybody's expense during the game in street clothes if he's not playing or dressed out but not playing. He could go back to the locker room area and guarantee you NBA Twitter will be on fire.
Oh, yeah.
He's been called back.
That's right. Well, I know Keith Smith tells us this story every year, and I just saw before I walked in today that he posted it on social media that he was in a locker room, a visiting team's locker room, and one year, and that one of the star players was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do something fun," and tweeted out like the eyes emoji, and that everybody in the comments were like, "What's going on? What's going on? What happened? What happened?" And that they're just sitting there laughing. And I think I saw one NBA guy, maybe Donovan Mitchell, do that like yesterday or the day before, and like posted "wow," and everyone was like, "What happened? What happened?" And it was nothing.
Nothing happened.
So guys like to have fun around this time, but no, it'll be interesting to see what, if the Grizzlies do anything, what some of these other teams. I know obviously all eyes on the Heat, all eyes on the Suns, a lot of eyes on the Bulls and what they might do after they've already made one move. Could they make some more? So I think it's gonna be a fun next 24 hours.
Any other teams other than Golden State rumored, mentioned around Kevin Durant?
Oh yeah, Dallas is in there, and the one I saw last night that I guess scares me, gets me excited. I don't know what it makes me feel. The Rockets have made some calls about Kevin Durant.
Oh, I don't want that.
I certainly don't want that. It sounds like a fun basketball team in Houston, but in terms of the Grizzlies, I certainly don't want that.
Especially with the Rockets losing last night in as freakish a style as you can lose in the NBA.
Well, they haven't won since losing to the Grizzlies, have they?
They haven't.
I mean, they've been on the struggle bus.
Are you ready?
What's that?
Grizzlies' magic number to be the 2 seed in the West?
Oh, no.
31.
31. All right. The countdown begins.
It does.
Starts tonight against Toronto.
If Kevin Durant goes to someone other than Golden State, it wouldn't apply to Golden State because he's been with them before.
Yeah.
That would be 5 organizations for him: Seattle, Oklahoma City, Golden State, Brooklyn, and Phoenix. That's a lot of organizations for one of the top 10, 15 at worst. Mm-hmm. All-time players?
Yeah, no, it is. And, this is a guy in Kevin Durant, and we're seeing the
championships in one spot.
Yeah.
A lot of people could have won one in that spot.
And I think that was the main reason he decided to leave Golden State is because Kevin Durant is probably one of, if not the biggest guys in the NBA, maybe in all of professional sports, that actually cares what random people on social media have to say about him.
How many burners do you think he has?
A lot. Too many to count. I have 0.
I have 0. I have 1, and it's worth nothing.
Yeah, I don't have.
It could burn.
I don't have any burners, but no, I mean Kevin Durant, he actually cares what people say about him, and so I think. Part of the reason when he left Golden State was all of he can't win one on his own. He can't be the guy somewhere. And so he wanted to go and try to show people that he could do that. And it really hadn't worked out. And I don't really blame him, especially with the Suns. I mean, they have 3 guys, 3 guys that really can never stay on the court. They have nobody else around those 3 guys. But he's incredible. He's an incredible player, and now we're seeing the reports that he has no interest in going back to Golden State, and I think part of that is he doesn't want to be back in there of, well, look, you left Golden State, you thought you could do it, you couldn't, and then you come back to Golden State to try to, ride the coattails of Steph Curry. So I think that was part of the reason he doesn't want to go back to Golden State.
I have a great hard one. You ready?
Oh, jeez.
Almost should play the music over it.
Oh, jeez, okay.
Who right now in sports would it most shock you that he had a burner?
That would most shock me if he had a burner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
I have mine.
Really? I don't know. Give me yours.
Jerry Jones.
That would shock you if he had a burner?
It would.
Oh, I don't. Maybe him himself. I think he might have somebody else that has a burner on his behalf.
Oh, paid to say nice things?
I can believe it. I mean, Jerry Jones, he likes people talking good about him. I wouldn't be surprised. That's a good one. I don't know. I'm thinking of somebody that, is just a happy-go-lucky person, doesn't care about what anybody says about him. Can't think of anybody.
They all have that.
I was about to say, I can think of a lot of people who probably do have burners. Never really thought about who doesn't have a burner.
Yeah.
Though. That's tough. It's really tough. Jason Tatum definitely has a burner, especially after the Olympics.
Been caught, hasn't he?
Has he? I don't know. I know Kevin Durant's been caught,
yeah,
but I don't know about Jason Tatum.
It was fun last night in Oxford. It should be fun tonight at FedEx Forum for the 17th ranked Tigers, but I know last night it was fun with Big Blue there. It's just different with Kentucky. It was as alive as I've ever seen any Ole Miss arena, new or old, and it was about the best I think I've ever seen Ole Miss play.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it, in the first half in any sport.
Wow.
In any sport.
Wow.
They played perfect.
They did. No, they were incredible last night, and it was you mentioned it. It was a awesome environment. I mean, the way that. they've got the student section jumping, the whole building jumping, and then when you have, your team going out and playing like that, 98 points last night. Now look, Kentucky
most points ever scored on Kentucky.
Yeah.
First time to ever be favored over Kentucky.
Really?
I was told that
Wow.
pregame.
I would not have known that. But, you do that 98 points, you shoot over 50% from the field, you have 24 assists, and only 1 turnover in the entire game. That is an incredible offensive output.
Tennessee only had 4 last Saturday at home against Florida, and I thought it was the box score nugget of the year. Texted that to Blake Lovell's going to join us at 4 o'clock. Ole Miss with one last night.
Insane.
The whole box score. Chris Beard ought to blow it up and hang it down the hallway of the basketball building.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was really an impressive game from start to finish. Came out, it was on. 54 points in the first half, and you knew from there, okay, this is Ole Miss locked in, and this is going to be easy for them, and it was.
Tonight at FedEx Forum, the Tigers, 17th ranked.
Yeah.
I looked it up. It's the best ranking this late in the year since John Calipari's last year.
Wow.
17th ranked
Wow, that's a good nugget.
against an old foe.
An old foe is right. Old Tulsa coming back to the building.
They are.
Oh, kind of like Rice, right?
We got
always
Tiger
there.
bankroll at 345. I don't know that I put that on the rundown, did I?
You didn't. What's it at? About 17 right now? So
17 and a half.
17 and a half.
Maybe 16. Is it 17 or 16?
I saw 17 earlier.
I gave it to Darian and Connor at 16.
Okay, cool. Then we'll do 16 and a half. That's even better. Even
Okay.
better. I'm curious to see where everyone lands on that because I think this is a tough one to pick. Tigers, I think, have been a tough team to pick all year long, just with how up and down they are.
But the Tigers have an identity. I still don't know that I know Ole Miss's identity.
Okay.
I know I know what they want. They want
Yeah.
play really hard.
Yeah.
What coach doesn't. But play really hard, defend.
That's a good point.
That's on every team. Go.
Sure.
But I don't know who the Ole Miss guy is, and the Tigers have a couple of these
Yeah.
of clear out. Let me take over.
Yeah, John was saying that same thing earlier today.
John and I talked about it last
yeah.
night at the game a lot.
Yeah, and he, who do you give the ball to if you need a bucket at the end of the game? So it's a really good question.
I don't know who the Ole Miss. I think it's Morrell on a wing type, but I don't know who the shutdown guy on defense is.
Yeah, I'd probably lean Morrell, but it's a good
I would
question.
too for wing type.
Sure,
certainly
yeah.
not big.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, it's a good question.
Mark
It's a really
Pope,
good
3 weeks ago, he was the next Adolph Rupp. 2 weeks ago, he was the next, at least Rick Pitino.
right.
Now, not so much.
Yeah, 4 of his last 5 being losses. Hey, it's a rough patch for them. They have a handful of injuries, but still, they need to now 4-5. You look up and you're 4-5 in conference play. Speaking of Rick Pitino, really good win for St. John's
Sure
last
was.
night over Marquette. That is a really fun basketball team. We'll talk a lot of college basketball later in the show, but let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Todd Lebo from WHB 810 in Kansas City. He's going to join us to talk the Super Bowl. It almost feels like a yearly tradition around this time.
It has.
To get Todd on and talk about Kansas City
another run
being in the Super Bowl. So that'll be fun here in just a few minutes to get Todd on and talk about this Kansas City football team, what he expects to see Sunday night in Super Bowl 59. 3:45, we'll talk Grizzlies in their game tonight on the road against Toronto, what we expect to see the last game before trade deadline. We're getting to the last couple of games until the All-Star break. 4 o'clock, Blake Lovell from the Southeastern 16 will join us to talk SEC basketball. Plenty to get to with him. We'll have to talk about Ole Miss and what they did over Kentucky. Florida got a win at home last night without Walter Clayton over Vanderbilt. So a lot to get to with Blake at 4 o'clock. 4:30, a little Super Bowl exercise for us. The best 6 players on the field Sunday night in the Super Bowl. Guys playing. You could throw in a tricky one. I think so-and-so will be on the sideline. Hall of Famer will be on the side. No.
Do you have a kicker?
Active player. I may have a
Okay.
kicker. on my list. I may not. I don't know. We'll have to wait till we get there. That'll be fun at 4:30, though. Best 6 players that'll take the field Sunday night for Super Bowl 59. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated will join us, talk a whole lot of college basketball. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over to Family Leisure right now for the preseason pool and patio sale. Spring is just around the corner, and it's time to start thinking about your backyard entertainment. 2024 pricing on all above pools and patio furniture. Beat the rush and get in line for your pool installation now. Patio furniture is up to 70% off to make room for the incoming inventory. Play gyms, trampolines, and outdoor kitchens, they're all on sale too. And spas are up to $3,000 off. Mention this ad and get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. So make sure you go ahead and head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Landon Schmidt, we are Sports Time, and we are with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. He's Bryant, I'm Brett, and we are Sports Time, and we want you to join us. And this hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. As always, we're in our Family Leisure Studios, but Lexus of Memphis brings this hour every day. They're at 2600 Ridgeway, about a mile from where we are currently visiting, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all the 2025 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's game day for both the Memphis basketball teams. The Grizzlies and the Tigers both in action tonight. For the Tigers, it's a home game against Tulsa, a Tulsa team that has really struggled. 9-13 on the season, 3-6 in AAC play. They'll come to the Bluff City playing against their old guard, their star player from last year, PJ Haggerty. That was kind of the conversation here this morning of, does PJ Haggerty, does he want that? Will it be a quote-unquote revenge game? He was there for a year.
Circled?
Is it circled? Yeah, that is the question. And I know Dave talked to Jason Munns this morning. Parthy Pajai with the Daily Memphian was in the building with the morning show, so that was kind of the question to both of them this morning. And they both kind of said, well, he said he has talked about it after the last couple of games. He's been texting back and forth with some of his old teammates, some of his buddies from Tulsa, and they've been going back and forth with some smack talk. So hopefully we get a really good PJ Haggerty game. I mean, when do we not get a really good PJ Haggerty game? He's been so solid. But for the Tigers, this is one of those games where you circle and you want them to go out and dominate. Right now, Vegas calling Memphis a 16.5-point favorite. These are some of those, these are the games. I called it tricky earlier to pick Memphis Tiger basketball games because it feels like sometimes with these large numbers, this feels like a game where they get out there and they lead by 25, 26 with 5 or 6 minutes left, and then you look up and it's hovering around 16 points with, a minute left in the game. Tigers, for everything we talk about, they're in a really, really good position for a really good seed in the tournament, but you would like them, especially against teams that are really struggling, to go out there and really dominate from start to finish. We'll see if we see that tonight. I expect Dane Danger to be back in the starting lineup again. He's been so good these last couple of games as a starter. And then over in the NBA. Grizzlies in action on the road in Toronto tonight. A Toronto team that has struggled throughout the season, 16-34 on the year. They're starting to play better basketball if you look at what they've done recently. A 5-game win streak a couple weeks ago. But this should be a game for the Grizzlies to go out, get another win, and continue this really good momentum going into not only the trade deadline, but All-Star break here in a week.
It's unanimous. Top story, Tigers at home tonight against Tulsa. Grizzlies in another T-town in Toronto. Yeah. Tigers need to be sharp and focused for 40 minutes and just pound this Tulsa team. This Tulsa team that can chant when they run on the floor tonight, we're 281, we're 281. 281 in the net, 281. A win and that AAC reverse voodoo will be at play. The Tigers will probably drop with a home win tonight. A loss, the unthinkable, no way.
No.
Shut the program down.
Shut the program down.
Not top story of the day.
Yeah, there's no way. I don't know where we'll all sit with Tiger Bankroll. I think we all agree Tigers are going to win this game tonight.
Shut Tiger Bankroll down.
I mean, there's no question. They're not going to lose the game tonight. My not top story of the day, it's got to be the NBA trade deadline countdown. You've got the countdown on the games for the Grizzlies to secure the 2 seed. The countdown's really on then for the NBA trade deadline tomorrow afternoon. We'll see what moves are made. We've already gotten some big names moved. We know De'Aaron Fox down to the Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Kings, Luka Doncic to the Lakers, Anthony Davis to Dallas. We even had earlier today Chris Middleton, who won a finals with the Bucks, getting moved to the Wizards. So the 3 big names, it feels like right now in terms of superstars that could be moved before the deadline. Jimmy Butler is the obvious one. We know what's going on in Miami. We know he wants out. We know he wants to go to Phoenix. Will Miami just say, we're going to move him, and if it's not to Phoenix, we're moving him somewhere? Do they say, we're going to keep him and try to work this out? Good Lord, what would that look like if they do keep him? Kevin Durant, his name has been all over the place. It sounds like he doesn't want to go back to Golden State, but it does sound like that Dallas and Houston both making runs at trying to acquire the All-Star. And then the final one, Brandon Ingram. It feels like his name has been in trade conversations for a while. I heard Atlanta might be in the mix for him, which I think that'd be a fun fit and would get a superstar out of the Western Conference, even though he hasn't done a ton down in New Orleans as of late. But these next 23, 24 hours or so, they could be very interesting.
My not top story, Grizzlies in Toronto, that other T-town. But really tonight, across the NBA, the eyes aren't on the court. All eyes are on the Elon X machine, waiting for the trade news, and that's how it's going to break these days. I guess some crybabies are waiting on the sunshiny skies. What's the other Twitter now?
Blue skies.
Blue skies. They're over there at the blue skies waiting for whatever happens on Mino Elon. He ruined everything, didn't he? And we're waiting for the news tonight, but that's how it is going to break. It's not going to break with a press release. No. It's going to break on Twitter.
It's going to be, have we figured out yet what Shams breaking news is called? Because we have Woj bombs. What is?
I haven't. I did. Shams bomb?
I saw someone call it a sham wow.
Okay, that's a good one.
I don't know. We got to figure something out, especially now that he's at ESPN.
Is he at Sunshiny Skies too?
That's a great question. I'm not over at Blue Sky, so I can't tell you who is over there and who's not over there. Well, let's go ahead and get to our first break, and when we return, we're going to talk the Super Bowl with Todd Lebo.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no-interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, This winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. Progressive's Name Your Price tool will help you find coverage at a fair price. And you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Law.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdingers. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdingers, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdingers offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Watching it build over here on 240 East up by Poplar, working your way up towards Walnut Grove. Sections of Sam Cooper has picked up just a bit going outbound. It looks a little bit better now since they've wrapped up some of that construction on Sam Cooper. In the Midtown area, not bad, at least at the moment, on 240 South from South Parkway down past Norris. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time. Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk the Kansas City Chiefs and Super Bowl 59. Todd Lebo from WHB 810 in Kansas City joins us now. Todd, thanks so much for joining us. I was telling Brett earlier, it feels like a yearly tradition now around this time to have you on to talk the Chiefs because of this dynasty. They are another year, another Super Bowl appearance. What has this year been like from start to finish with this group trying to get to that three-peat?
Well, it's a little bit different. I guess every season is different, I suppose. But they're, they had so many close games this year, and it was just kind of different than in years past. They used to kind of just be a big offensive team, and then last year the defense really carried them. And this year, if you look back at all those wild little close games, it was, a special teams play or an offensive play or a defensive play or some just dumb luck that the Raiders can't snap the ball right, at the right time and figure it out. So it's been kind of you'd like to say it's a magical ride to have won all the close games they play, but, it seems kind of silly to call this magical when you've already won 2 Super Bowls in a row. So it's just kind of almost indescribable that they keep winning these games, and then they found themselves here with a chance to make history in New Orleans.
What carries them Sunday?
Well, what they better have Sunday if they're going to get to it and win it all is they better play enough defense against the run and Saquon Barkley. You just can't give up 60, 70-yard touchdown run. They could probably withstand him running for 120 yards if it took 22 carries or something. But what they don't need is a big home run. And I think the offense is kind of found their niche a little bit with kind of quick passes and things like that. But I do think that, they can't let Barkley take over the game because he's had an MVP type of year, and they are at their best when he's at his best, and they need to make sure he's not at his best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you mentioned, this offense and these close games this year. It feels like that has been the conversation of the Chiefs can't win games by large margins this year, but they have found ways to win it. It's a lot of credit to that quarterback. But the other conversation about this team has been that the officials are in on it. The officials want the Chiefs. The NFL wants the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. What do you make of that conversation? How much of that conversation is being had and being debunked and made fun of in Kansas City?
Out there in the great Midwest, and you're part of the conspiracy,
That's right.
Todd.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what the league wants. It is laughable. I mean, all the players have been asked about it at this, media days. They had opening night. They had availability yesterday. Had it today. They're having to get it tomorrow, and they get asked about it. And they, it's really ridiculous to think that the league actually puts out some sort of an edict that they want certain teams to win the games. I think if you look at all the data, people watch the Chiefs a lot, so they see a lot of their games, but they're not like in first place in the fewest amount of penalties. They're not anywhere, like middle of the pack on all those things. So it is kind of silly to think that that's what people are doing. Now listen, 55 million people watched the AFC Championship game, and they saw a very close play that was called on the field as a catch with Xavier Worthy, and we've seen this a bunch of times. If it's called on the field, it's going to stand. Mm-hmm. And they saw the same thing with the quarterback sneak with Josh Allen. Listen, if the call's on the field, every time you see one of those plays, you're like, well, the call's in the field, it's going to stand. It's still humans doing this, but I do not think there's an edict from the league that they want the Chiefs to win, and that's just what it is. The Chiefs fans think it's hilarious, and some of them get their dander up a little bit because they get, very territorial about their team. But what I tell all of them is, just don't worry about it. It's good to be hated. That means you're winning a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit, the Chiefs are a lot like, I think, Golden State early on. We loved Riley Curry sitting at midcourt as, adorable little baby and cheering her dad on. And then they kept winning and they kept winning, and they became the evil empire. It didn't take long for the Red Sox to get to be the evil empire. I think Kansas City's closer to Golden State. Or is it closer to Alabama? Who do you think the best comparison of kind of the public being sick of would be to the Chiefs?
I think probably Golden State with the way you just laid it out there. I mean, the NFL-wise, it was the Patriots. But, the Chiefs haven't been accused of cheating or anything like that. They're not in federal court. But, it is funny. We're in New Orleans.
And Andy Reid's more likable than Belichick was.
Yes, absolutely. We're down here in New Orleans, and I remember coming down here with one of our first radio rows we went to way back in the day was here in New Orleans when the Patriots beat the Rams. The Rams were big favorites, and the Patriots came out and they won that game. And they were just like a little darling. You had this kid who no one knew about or cared about, who got drafted in the 6th round. And I remember the next year we were in the Super Bowl was in San Diego or something. I just remember seeing some quote like Tom Brady won a car for winning the Super Bowl MVP or something. And that was the first car he'd ever had. That was just a cute story, mm-hmm. right? Well, and it wasn't real long, and it wasn't cute anymore. So, familiarity breeds contempt. So as far as that goes, it's probably a little bit more like that because it's the NFL. But the Chiefs are certainly more likable than that. There was nothing to dislike about the Warriors. I think that's a good one. I mean, people love Steph Curry. Maybe Draymond Green didn't like very much.
Like Steve Kerr, remember him in college. Remember the story of his father, and
all
everything, and all of it. And Todd, I tell you another one that's close to it. We can remember that. This will surprise younger people. We can remember the Saturday semifinal upset by Duke over big bad UNLV and Tark and that crew. They were America's darling, and 10 years later, just the sight of them, you go crazy.
Absolutely. They were the little team that couldn't get over the hump. Mm-hmm. And then they got over the hump a couple of times, and then everyone hated them. Yeah, it happens that way. And, the Chiefs went 50 years without winning, 50 years without going to the Super Bowl, 50 years without really sniffing a Super Bowl. Yeah. So at this point, and they have a good attitude. Patrick Mahomes, who met with the media today, is like, you don't know when it's going to be your last one. You better enjoy it, because even Tom Brady went 9 years without winning a Super Bowl. He went a couple of times, but there was a 9-year gap between winning Super Bowls. If you told a Chiefs fan right now they're going to go 9 years without winning a Super Bowl, they'll all think you're crazy. But it could absolutely happen, because as good as Patrick Mahomes is, and Travis Kelce says he wants to play a few more years, Andy Reid isn't quitting anytime soon. it just, you can't guarantee that you're going to win 7 one-score games, and you can't guarantee that you're going to, maybe get the right call in an AFC Championship game. They're just you're a play away from losing any one of these playoff games they've had, really, in this entire run. They very rarely have they rolled someone in the playoffs. They've been down 10 points in every Super Bowl they've played, and they've won 3 of them. So it's pretty wild to think that they've done that.
Todd, take it personally for us, for you, for your station. You talked about going to Radio Rows all those years when a lot of the years, I don't know if the Chiefs probably didn't make the playoffs. Some of them, sure.
Oh, no, there's plenty they didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Never dreaming to get on this kind of roll to now. Please tell me it's not old hat for y'all.
No, I don't think it's old hat yet, for sure. It is a lot, though, I'll tell you that. I mean, Radio Row was always something we would just kind of do for a few days. And you'd maybe go out to the team availability once to try to find someone who went to a high school around Kansas City or went to Kansas or Missouri or Kansas State. But when you add Radio Row with media availability 4 times, it's a lot of work. I'm not complaining. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or maybe I am. I don't know. I'm young. I'm not as young as I once was. But you know how much it means to Kansas City. You know how much it means to all the fans. You know how much it means to the bottom line of a business. When the Chiefs are winning, that's good for business. So we will work every Super Bowl for the next 10 years if they keep going. I promise you.
Todd, I tell everybody, after you get your whatever degree it's in, broadcast journalism, whatever it is, English, history, finance, whatever it is, after you get that degree, then when you start working at a place, then you get your business degree. Oh, no doubt. Yeah, you if you know how to work that business side of it, that's the big deal, and that's what it's all about. Like, and it's, when we're working, you're not a fan of a team. I grew up in Kansas City, so I like the Chiefs. I want them to win, but when you're covering the team, you have to cover them in an unbiased way, and that's the part that I tell anyone who wants to get in the business. If you think you're going to the press box to cheer, that's not the way it works. It's a different deal, but it is still thrilling. I was there in 2019 when they won their first Super Bowl in 50 years, and I knew what it meant to everybody, and it was just like, wow, you got to see that happen and help report on it. And the same thing will be the case on Sunday night. We'll get to see a chance if they win and they get a three-peat, they've done something no one else has done, to be able to be at one of those things. That's also a big deal for people in the media, because like Mitch Holtis, who calls the Chiefs games on the radio, he did his first 21 years as the Chiefs broadcaster without calling a winning playoff game. Wow! Right? Didn't even win a playoff game. And now he's at his sixth Super Bowl or whatever, his 5th Super Bowl. All right, take your credential off because we got to get a pick from you. We want winner and a score, and we won't blast it on Twitter back to KC if you take the Eagles.
Well, you have to take the Chiefs because they win.
Yeah,
that's all they do is win. So I'll take the Chiefs. A lot of people, some of my gambling friends, they like the under a little bit in this, which is like 48. So, but I think I like the over. I mean, these teams scored 70 points against each other last time. I think the second halves in these Super Bowls get loose, and so I think I like the over in this. The Chiefs don't score 30 a lot. Their offense isn't what it once was, but I think they're as healthy as they've been. I think Andy Reid will have some stuff dialed up, and if they get a turnover, let's put the Chiefs at 31, and we'll put Philly at. Well, it'll be a weird score because they'll go for 2 or something weird. I don't know why, but I want to say 31-24, but I'll say 31-25 because why not? Weird scores happen in the NFL these days.
Yeah, and we have a handicapper tout on with us, and he likes to talk about, he thinks everybody starts Super Bowls a little slow and a little tight to not get knocked out before you really get the gloves up, and then, as you say, it really loosens up later.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's some wild second halves in these games. Some pretty boring first halves happen a lot of times. The second halves get crazy because you get desperate. So I think listen, these are talented teams, man. The Eagles' offense is something. They really are something. And Patrick Mahomes is something. And I think he's got, like I said, some of his guys are back and healthy. And I think there'll be some points in this game for sure.
Todd,
so I like the over a little bit too.
We appreciate you. I know this week to carve out 12 minutes for Memphis is not easy. We certainly appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the run, and good luck to Kansas City.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks,
Todd. Todd Lebo joining us to talk the Super Bowl From
Very kind.
WHB 810 in Kansas City. Yes, very kind to give us some time, and he thinks Kansas City is going to win. I like his reasoning. I saw this, and we'll probably come back to this eventually, and it might be what I could do without today. The NFL will play its first ever regular season game in Melbourne, Australia in 2026. So we continue to do the international games, this time going to Melbourne, Australia. For reference, for those who do not know the time in Melbourne, Australia, they are 17 hours ahead of us, so it is currently 8:43 a.m. tomorrow.
Whoa.
I don't know what time they play that game.
That's time machine stuff there.
Yeah, I guess you could play like a noon game or something and have it a noon game in Melbourne and have it like 5 or 6 o'clock here and be like a primetime game for us. But
probably tried the Friday thing like they did from...
Well, if you try the Friday thing, I think it would be hard because I guess it would be Saturday there. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So maybe it works. I have no idea.
They'll figure it out.
But we just continue to go international, and this time going to Melbourne. Not this season.
Why
but
not?
In 2026. I'll tell you why not, because I don't want to watch a game in Australia.
That's wild.
I like Australia just fine, but it's just the timing.
Bold prediction.
Wild.
That's going to be streaming.
Oh yeah. That's for sure going to be streaming.
And then the NFL will beat everybody over the head with at this time of day. This many streaming numbers.
That's right, yeah. When it was 5 o'clock on a Friday.
I don't know if I still have the time. Give that to me again.
So right now here, it's 3:45 p.m. on Wednesday. In Melbourne right now, it is 8:45 a.m. on Thursday. So it is tomorrow. They're getting up, stretching. They're watching First Take on a Thursday morning right now in Melbourne.
Well, that's what they do. They kick this game off about now, that Friday of opening weekend, after you've had that Thursday night game for NFL on a Friday morning.
Maybe. I mean, it's either going to be... because they could do like prime time our time, and it would be around noon in Melbourne time. So maybe they could do something like that. Because right now it's 8 o'clock there. I don't think you'd do a game.
No, you wouldn't. You're right.
At this time. But you could do like a primetime game.
Man, that
for
international
us.
Dateline blows my mind.
I'm telling you, whatever. If they think it makes them more money, if they think it's whatever for them, good for them, I guess. I hate it. I'm tired of them going international.
Yeah.
Let's just keep the games here.
And sometimes Pacific time throws me off.
Yeah, I mean, trying to learn Hawaiian time, what time it is in Hawaii, and then trying to learn Australia.
We know Christmas.
4 hours behind. Thank you. Landon has
Landon
that down.
knows. And we know Christmas Eve, 7 o'clock, the Aloha Bowl.
Oh, you know that's going to be there every single time. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some Grizzlies and some Tigers, both teams in action tonight. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. One sign that a bar is a great bar is their signature cocktails. And the signature cocktails at Bell Tavern really set the place apart. Maybe just a simple 3-whiskey old-fashioned with a house blend of domestic whiskeys, or a barrel-aged Manhattan with Rittenhouse Rye, Rockwell Sweet Vermouth, barrel-aged bitters, and maraschino cherries. Those are 2 of the incredible drinks you can get at Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. And there are many, many more. Combine those drinks in the friendly atmosphere, and you've got Bell Tavern.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. Progressive's Name Your Price tool will help you find coverage at a fair price. And you're in charge. Because you take insurance company for state law.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G-Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. Offer valid before 15/25 taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line global limited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com.
Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports Time. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Tires. Here are your hosts, Star Sports Movie and Brian Davis.
We're back in Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We talked about it earlier, but both Memphis teams in action tonight. Tigers at home against Tulsa, 7 p.m. on ESPN+. Plus, the Grizzlies on the road against Toronto. So both teams playing opponents that are under 500. So good opportunity, another 2-0 night for the Memphis team.
I don't have the exact number, but been a good year of playing and winning on the same date. You know, a couple
good,
years it was hard.
Yeah, I know. You know, what was it? Sunday they both played and both won. I think there was maybe a day last week or the week before both played, both won. So yeah, it's been. I mean, both these teams are really good. You know, when you look up and the Grizzlies are 34-16 on the year, the Tigers are 18-4 on the year.
Both these teams are really good.
Yeah, you know, it would be almost difficult for both these teams to play on the same day.
We've dreamed of this, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And
the Tigers run out tonight 17.
That's right.
Does it feel like it around town, as it felt like it in the building today, that the 17th ranked team in college basketball plays at home tonight?
No, it has not.
It hadn't, and it's because of this league.
Mm-hmm.
But people around here are fans of Memphis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you want to see the 17th ranked team, it's downtown at FedEx Forum tonight.
Yeah. I mean, a top 20 team. Not even top 25, a top 20 team.
That, barring... Well, one loss would derail finishing in the top 25. One loss the rest of the way might do it. Mm-hmm. Even that game at UAB.
That's right. Yeah.
So to stay ranked at the end of the year and been in there most of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they've done a really good job this year. And so I think, I mean, there should be a lot of people out there wanting to support.
Highest ranked this late since Cal's last year.
That was maybe nugget of the day. That's really good.
Been higher ranked at other points, but not this late.
Sure, yeah. I'm trying to see. I know last night we're to the point where Joe Lenardi will obviously not put out a full bracket, but yes, the little pamphlet almost. He has Memphis on the 5 line today with everything that happened yesterday. Kentucky dropping down, Arizona moving up. So Memphis right there. You know, if they win again tonight, you know, they could very well be right back up there on the 4 line. But in a really good spot. I mean, we talk about it wanting to be for. Really, ever since Penny Hardaway has been the coach here, it's been, okay, well, even if they're in the conversation for being in the NCAA tournament, they're on the 8-9 line. We got to get out of the 8-9 line. Now, you are, 4, 5, 6, you're in that good mix right there.
How often does Mike DeCourcy update his?
That's a really good question. I do not know.
Because I really yield to him.
Yeah.
He's on with Dave on Mondays, right?
That's correct. Yeah, so I kind of get to hear him right after the big weekend, and then it's a whole nother week until we get him again. But
but we know the busier college basketball.
Sure.
Tomorrow's mocks mean a little more than than Fridays.
Right,
Because
right.
Friday's a slow day, and then Monday is kind of the holy grail.
Exactly. So, you kind of have those key days where things get updated and things change. So, yeah, I'm not sure on my.
Starting Monday all the way through one shining moment through that Monday, Shelby Mass will join us from bracketwag.com. And noted bracketologist through a lot of years at a lot of places. And he is, by Monday, he's going to have some questions he's going to have to answer with us.
Yeah.
And we're going to ask him right out of the gate why. His Memphis is an 8. That's as low as anybody I see out there.
Sure is. Yeah, it is. I mean, it feels like everyone has them in kind of that good, like 4 or 5.
Ole Miss
I'd
is
say.
a 4.
Wow. So very high on Ole Miss, not so high on Memphis. Yeah.
Mississippi State is a 5. Mississippi State did beat Memphis. Ole Miss did not.
Yeah. Well, I'll be.
Kentucky still after last night a 3.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be fun. I mean, I love having Shelby on because you get to pick his brain, a guy that is updating this every single day, keeping up with all of these teams on why do you have this team here and this other team here. So that'll be fun starting Monday.
Yeah, it will be, and it will fall out all the way, till we'll have all these mocks until Selection Sunday. Yep. I don't think the Tigers can endure more than about one more loss and not any at home without a big plunge.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think, the UAB game on the road, I think, if you lose that, I think you're fine. But yeah, really outside of that, it's a it's a lot of landmines and you step on one of those and, it could really hurt you. I mean, a Temple loss at home over the weekend on Sunday could hurt you.
I think that'll happen.
Certainly a loss tonight
it would hurt.
Kill you.
That's your premise.
Anything. Yeah. Even and my point is a team that you that you already lost to, on the road, you lose them at home, that would really hurt you. Any of these games really coming up outside of UAB, I would think would hurt you pretty good.
16.5 point favorites tonight. They are 18-4 overall, 8-1 in the AAC, 11-11 against the point spread this year. Your brother Connor took Tulsa for 100 tonight plus the 16.5. Darian takes Tulsa for 50 tonight plus 16.5. Bryant.
I'll take the Tigers for like 20. I don't have much faith, but they should. I mean, they should beat this Tulsa team. This Tulsa team is one of the worst teams in college basketball. They should beat this team by 20 at least.
They really should, and that's why I'm going to take Memphis. But I'm with you on the smaller wager.
Yeah, I'm just not. And you're in a position where you can do the smaller wagers. I am not in a position where I can do the smaller wagers. But
I won't say that Sunday scared me, shook me, but it didn't do a lot for me.
No, certainly not.
Memphis 25 minus the 16.5. It's just a lot of points.
It is. Yeah. I don't blame you. 11-11 against the spread this season.
The last time the Tigers were an underdog against Ole Miss on December 28th. Ole Miss was a 1.5 point favorite. Memphis pounded them.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens tonight. Just a few more hours until that one tips off.
Last time before that, at Clemson. Clemson 6.5 point favorite, and Memphis beat them in overtime.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens tonight, but this should be a game, where the Tigers should dominate this Tulsa team. We'll see how it all falls out. You mentioned it, 2-1 against the spread in the last 3 games. If you want to keep up with that in terms of Tiger bankroll, they have won 2 of the last 3, covered at least. Let's go ahead and wrap up this hour, and when we return, we got to talk some more college basketball. We're going to switch our gears to the SEC because Blake Lovell from the Southeastern 16, he joins us next.
You to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
When disaster strikes, the food supply is the first domino to fall. It can start quietly, an emergency alert, a breaking news headline. But within hours, reality sets in. People rush to grocery stores, emptying shelves of everything from bread to canned goods. Lines stretch out the door, tempers flare, and desperation takes hold. And no matter who's in charge these days, you simply can't rely on the government to bail you out. That's why having an emergency food supply on hand is the right move for you and your family. Right now, you can get $50 off a 4-week emergency food kit at mypatriotsupply.com. They're an American company trusted by millions, offering 2,000 calories per day with essential vitamins and minerals to keep you strong during a crisis. This food will be there for you when you need it, since it lasts up to 25 years and can ship out to you next day. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now to get $50 off your 4-week emergency food kit. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for the loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Rose on Highway 64 in Market, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It seems to be picking up just a bit in the Midtown area in the last 15-20 minutes on 240 South at South Parkway down to Norris. Still looks good right now on 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Right when you come off 240 going outbound 385 back out towards Collierville as it increases with a little bit more volume on Sam Cooper. It looks better now since they've finished up some of that construction there going outbound Sam Cooper before you get over to Highland. LLV offers everything a fun couple or single would want. Luxury lifestyle vacations, offers all exclusive resorts and cruises all over the world. Google LLVclub.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. The Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we're in our family leisure studios. And joining us now to talk some SEC basketball, Blake Lovell from the Southeastern 16 joins us now. Blake, thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with the game that Brett was in attendance for last night. Ole Miss all over Kentucky, 98-84, that final score. When you look at the way, Ole Miss played really the entirety of the game, 98 points, over 50% from the field, 24 assists, and only 1 turnover. That was one of the best performances we've seen by Ole Miss in a really long time.
And only committed 14 fouls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, I think anytime you get a chance to play this Kentucky team right now, which is just, they don't have Lamont Butler. He's probably their best defensive player, second best defensive player, whether, Amari Williams certainly impact the game and all that, but Kentucky just doesn't defend very well. And I think, the teams that are having success against them are the ones who come out early and just are the aggressor. And that's what we saw from Ole Miss last night. I mean, they just came out early, took advantage of the opportunities, got open shots because Kentucky will give you plenty of them. And, sometimes the game's just easier when you're able to make those shots. And, Kentucky, too, a team that just doesn't force any turnovers. And if you're not a great defensive team, you don't force turnovers, and you let a team like Ole Miss come out and kind of do what they want, they're going to put up 98 on you. And I think it was just something where, Ole Miss was kind of a team that felt like they were a little bit desperate after losing 4 or 5, and it's like you lose 4 or 5 and you don't even feel like, you almost maybe feel better about your team. At least I did about them, because they were right there with a chance in a lot of those games. So I think, it's a great win for Ole Miss, and that's a team that I keep saying they have kind of that formula that they feel like they have the ingredients to be one of those Sweet 16 and beyond type teams, because they have old guards, they force turnovers, they play good defense, and they also take care of the ball. And all those things were on display in that game last night.
Blake, that is really something that you say you thought they were getting better in that time, that the one-loss record wasn't showing it. Chris Beard thinks that. And he even thought it after Saturday's 10-point loss. It got away from him a little bit at the end against Auburn. He was not dissuaded after that. He thinks this team is really coming together at the right time. You talk about the start they had on fire building. I've never – at Tad Smith Coliseum or the Pavilion since it opened, never been at a basketball atmosphere in Oxford like last night. And they said Saturday was great and until the closing minutes. Last week against Texas was real good. He's got them turned on. But for like the Ole Miss, like a lot of other teams, they won't be playing NCAA tournament games at home.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's going to get interesting for a lot of these SEC teams, is that the ones that have proven they can go on the road and win these kind of games, I mean, they're the ones that are certainly going to stand above the rest, and I think that's what's going to be fascinating, as always, in the tournament. We all know, I mean, there are plenty of other conferences out there that are rooting for the SEC's demise in the NCAA tournament this year, because every single statistic out there tells you that this is one of the best single-season performances we've ever seen from a conference in college basketball. And so I think, from that standpoint, yes, there are going to be teams that inevitably get upset or lose some games early in the first round. But I just don't know that I've ever seen, a roster like this of teams that seemingly have the best chance to send as many teams they do to the second weekend and beyond. And so it is going to be something, like you said, that the home crowds are kind of dictating how things go this season, and we're kind of at the halfway mark now. But who are going to be the teams that down this maybe second half of SEC play prove they can go out and win these kind of tough games on the road? Because that's where, especially this year, schedules matter. And, your strength of schedule matters maybe more than ever in terms of, like, what does it look like the rest of the way? Alabama's got the toughest schedule of anybody left in the SEC. Can they go win some of these road games in tough environments? I think Vanderbilt's got the second toughest. Oklahoma's got the third. Those are two teams hovering around that 9 seed line right now. So if you can't find a way to go win some of these road games, you may ultimately get left out of the NCAA tournament.
Speaking of the NCAA tournament, Joe Lunardi put out his updated bracket yesterday. Still had 13 SEC teams in the field. I believe Arkansas was the last in the next 4 out category. How many do you think, as we continue to go on, how many SEC teams do you think get in?
Yeah, I think where we're at this point, and to me there are 5 teams that I'm like, okay, which of these, what's the combination of these 5 teams that's going to get in? Because it's not going to be all 5 of them. Arkansas, yes. If they win tonight, you're going to start to move Arkansas a little bit closer. They're still going to be 3-6 in the league, but you're going to move them closer just because, again, I think if you go 8-10 in the SEC this year, you're easily in the tournament. If you go 7-11, some teams will still be able to get in the tournament, I think. And so, to me, the other 4 are Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Texas. And I think knowing that some of those teams are still going to play each other and you're going to have a different combination of wins and losses, that's where things get interesting. If teams like that can just avoid, losing out, obviously, but if they can avoid losing to South Carolina and LSU and still, even if they beat up on each other, those wins are going to come from somewhere else. And I think if that's kind of the case, you're still going to have the chance for all those teams to get in. Now, to me, and I'll say it, I've said it the last couple of days, I think Georgia may be the team that's on the outside looking in. And I think it's yes, they've played the toughest first half schedule statistically in the SEC, and they're kind of slumping right now. But the thing is, Georgia is a good defensive team, but they are just not a great offensive team. And I think that's what worries me about them a little bit when they play some of these teams down the stretch. It's you have to find the number of wins. And I think for them right now, yes, they're a good team at home, and they should be able to take care of business against LSU tonight. But it's kind of one of those things where, do you trust Vanderbilt more than you trust Georgia? I probably do. I trust Texas more. I trust Oklahoma more. And so, again, it's kind of two of those teams probably find a way to get left out. But I'm not as convinced on that as I was previously, because the way it's shaking out is honestly beneficial for the SEC, because you kind of have some of these win combinations right now where it's helping. I mean, Vanderbilt, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, those were all teams that were kind of on that bubble range probably 2 or 3 weeks ago at times. But, they've started to sort of move up. Texas, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma have. Georgia's moved back a little bit. But, they're all still right there. And so I think it shows you the strength of the league. And, hey, they got to field 68 teams, right?
That's
Why
right.
wouldn't you take as many teams as you could from the strongest conference maybe we've ever seen?
That's right. Most of those places travel really well, and some that historically haven't, they're going to be so hungry to go, they might this year. Blake Lovell talking college basketball with us. He will join us every week between now and the end of the year. He's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, and with those teams that all are kind of on the periphery, like a Vanderbilt, like a Georgia, I go to personnel because I don't trust Mike White. I don't want to get you into that, Blake, but I want to see who has better personnel between a Vandy and a Georgia. I know Texas has better personnel. I think Texas – I don't know if Texas has a better coach or not than Mike White. It comes down to after everybody's kind of even on personnel, then what decides it for me is coaching.
Yeah, well, and I think that's where Mark Byington, to me, has already kind of proven that he's done such a good job with this Vanderbilt team that all season long it's been they don't have the size. I mean, they're playing 6'7" at most, maybe 6'8". I think maybe guys 6'7.5". They round up, but it's one of those things where he's put them in position to win 2 top 10 games, at home against Tennessee and Kentucky. And like we said, they're going to be one of those teams. Can they just go find wins on the road? Obviously, they got beat by 30 the other day at Oklahoma. Couldn't pull it off against Florida last night. No shame in that. But I do think that's where, seeing what Mark Byington has done. And like you said, it's going to come down to when you get some of these teams like this. And look, they're not that different. They played really good at home. They had lost by 2 to Auburn, who I know was out without Broome, but still, that's almost a win against the number 1 team in the country. They've beaten Kentucky at home. They've beaten Oklahoma at home. And that's where I think this thing's going to get interesting for teams like that, right? We always talk about it, and you mentioned earlier, Brett, it's some of these teams that shoot a lot of free throws. Georgia's one of those teams shoot a lot of free throws at home. A&M has kind of been notorious for that. And so, those kind of teams, if you get them into that tournament setting, and all of a sudden it's a game that's officiated differently. We've seen this over the years in the SEC, where all of a sudden some of these games become foul shooting contests. And they get in the NCAA tournament, it's complete opposite. And so I hope that doesn't affect teams like that ultimately get in. But like you said, it comes down to personnel. And just to me, I really like some of the pieces for Georgia, but I just don't know. Again, offensively, to me, look at the teams that are having success. They're teams that can just put up a lot of points. Again, do I think Georgia would have scored 98 last night against Kentucky? Probably not. But Ole Miss had the dudes to be able to do it. And so that's where we're going to find out, again, which of these teams kind of gets left behind. We'll see.
Yeah. When you look at Texas A&M, obviously a lot of people talk about Wade Taylor and what he does for that team, but you look at some of the pickups that they made out of the portal. Zurich Phelps, who was at SMU last year, has been really good for them. Pharrell Payne has been really good on the boards, a guy that they brought in from Minnesota. What do you make of some of the additions that they made in the offseason to kind of improve this team that did a good job last year, made the tournament, and got a couple wins in the tournament?
Yeah, I think if there's one thing we've been able to use, the theme for Texas A&M, it feels like over the past couple of years, it's that they've been consistently inconsistent. And it's you had some of those stretches where, in the SEC tournament, NCAA tournament last year, they're scoring 90-plus points. And we're like, where did this come from? Because this was the team that, lost 5 in a row or whatever. And the year before, I feel like it was the non-conference where they just lost some head-scratching games. And that just was kind of the theme. But it's completely changed this year where, like you said, the addition of those guys with Phelps and Payne and, of course, Wade Taylor and everything else that they have on that roster, they have one of the most impressive resumes in the country. Yeah. It is very surprising for me to say that right now because, again, you sort of would have expected maybe A&M to do what kind of they've done, and that's lose some of these games they shouldn't and all that kind of stuff, but it's not really happened. Sure, the Texas loss is probably a little frustrating, but when you look at their overall resume, I mean, they have a 2-seed resume right now. And again, like, I think for a team like this who lost a couple games too, let's remember, without Wade Taylor, the committee will factor that in because, he is their best player. And so they lost that game with Alabama to Kentucky without him. I mean, it's something where if they finish strong here, and let's say they finish third in the SEC, something like that, I mean, A&M is going to be a strong 2-seed, I think, in the NCAA tournament. And I think, again, it just shows you that sometimes if you just hit on some of these transfers and then you put together a resume this year where they got wins over Purdue, Texas Tech, and so forth, I mean, yeah, I think A&M kind of feels like one of those teams. Like I said, we've had every reason to doubt them in recent years because they've been inconsistent. But this year, I feel like they're one of those teams you can maybe trust as well as anybody in the SEC.
The open date of sorts came at a perfect time, the midweek, for Chris Jenn's Bulldogs. They're on the road Saturday, Bulldogs against Bulldogs Saturday down in Athens. They needed a little time to kind of let everything settle a little bit, didn't they?
They did. Boy, it's just, again, even in a season like this, and you guys know I'm high on Missouri. We talked about it last week, but man, I was not expecting that for a 27-point home loss or whatever it was for a top 15 team. It's just not something you see very often. And I think, again, it was, hey, they had also hit kind of a tough stretch where even some of those games they had won, right? South Carolina, Ole Miss, they were overtime games, really had to kind of, put it all together to find a way to win them. And of course, you had the losses around that. And so to come out and have a loss like that at home, that's the ones that sort of raise your interest a little bit in wondering, okay, is there something maybe bigger in play here when it comes to, where this team's at? But I think we're going to find out. Like we said, I mean, it's a perfect lead-in talking about Georgia because it's like, hey, I mean, I think that's a game that feels like a must-win game for both teams. Where, like we said, if Georgia's going to find the win to get to the tournament, I think beating Mississippi State at home has to be one of those. And then for Mississippi State, if you want to feel like, all of a sudden maybe you fall into that 7 range, something like that in the NCAA tournament, if you want to start getting back up to where you were a couple weeks ago, which was, as high as a 4 seed, something like that, then I think you've got to start sort of proving that you can be a little bit more consistent too. So they've certainly hit one of those stretches. I think for them, it's just they still go as Hubbard goes. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. But I think it's for a lot of teams. You've got to have kind of the full package, and of course they've gotten healthier a little bit too. That helps. But yeah, I mean they're kind of a team that's got to figure it out pretty quickly here because, like we said, usually guys we're like, hey, luckily they get this stretch of a schedule coming up where it's going to just be kind of cruise control and they'll win 3 or 4 games. There is no part on that schedule for anyone this year. South Carolina's 0-9, right? But they're still considered like a top 75 team in the country because they've had whatever ridiculous amount of close losses. And so it's just like you have no let up in your schedule. So you got to find a way to regroup. And like you said, Brett, came at a good time to get that week off.
And South Carolina right now it's still 90 in the net. And this is kind of the last get it together, you under kind of operational pause time of the year. Because I like to say it every year from what you can find whatever date you want, 20th, 25th of February. This is what you are. This is who you're going to war with in NCAA tournament time.
Yeah, and I said the exact same thing last night. We were doing our show after the Kentucky Ole Miss game, and people are like, well, what is Kentucky? I'm like, Kentucky is what they are at this point. Like, if you're thinking there's going to be some defensive turnaround, it's just not going to happen. Like, they've already shown us it's just not there. Like, they are who they are. They're going to have to be what Alabama was last year, and that's just go out and outscore teams. Because their defense is never going to hit an elite level. It's just not going to happen this season with this group of personnel. So, like you said, your team is what it is, and now there's plenty of tape out there to say, all right, here's the formula. Here's the game plan we use to beat this team. And we've started to identify some of those different stylistic comparisons. This is the team that's going to give you problems. This is the team that you're going to succeed against. Like, these are the games where you're like, all right, I'm looking ahead to NCAA tournament matchups. If I know I'm going to be a 3 or 4 seed, let me go find the team that, oh boy, I really don't want to play that 13 or 14 because I know stylistically teams like that have given us issues. And so, yeah, I think, like, again, the teams are what they are, and I think everyone, battles injuries and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, you're not going to have significant changes for any of these teams in terms of how they play because that's already well established at this point.
Yeah. Going back to Arkansas, obviously that win over Kentucky, a lot of motivation before that game for Arkansas to go in there and have a good performance with obviously Cal and some of those players going back to Kentucky. But with Boogie Fland out, I know Adu Thiero has been great all year. Who kind of steps up? Does this maybe free up a guy like Jonell Davis, maybe a guy like DJ Wagner? Who can maybe step up with Boogie Fland out the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was the first time this season in an actual meaningful game where they had everybody on the same page. Yeah. And, I think the chemistry had just been lacking with this team. A lot of good individual skill players, but I just didn't think the team chemistry had been there. It's not a knock on any one guy. It felt like a roster that, okay, there's a lot of good talent here, but I just don't see how it meshes, and it just hadn't to this point. And so to see what Wagner did, to have a second half like he had, to see Davis now having back-to-back good games where we thought, I came into the season saying I think he's a first-team All-SEC guy. Right. Like, this is the level these guys are going to have to play at the rest of the way. Adu Thiero speaks for himself. He's been a breakout player. He'd probably be a second-team All-SEC guy, I would think, right now. But they've got to have Wagner. They've got to have Davis because the guard play is going to be important, right? It's great and all. If Thiero's doing his thing and Big Z stepping out and knocking down, it's got to be those two, like Wagner and Davis. If Arkansas is going to turn this thing around, and maybe they're the exception, right? I thought Arkansas kind of was what they are, but maybe they're going to be the exception where they do turn things around here by winning tonight at Texas, and all of a sudden here they go. If that's going to happen, it's going to be through those two guys because they're in a spot now where they don't have a choice, where they have to win games. Like, it's not a matter of, okay, well, we can lose a couple more and then go win these. No. Like, that they kind of feel like they're in must-win territory pretty much the rest of the season. And so if you're there, you want to see if these guys can use what they got on Saturday, use that confidence, and now turn that into something where they can actually be an NCAA tournament team or at least get close. Because, again, everybody kind of said, hey, we're writing these guys off, right? But if Davis, Wagner can play like they did, and that's what I want to see. Like tonight, here's the thing, right? They could very well go win at Texas. Would I predict that to happen? Probably not, just because we've not seen that level of consistency. And so, hey, maybe they surprise us again.
Yeah, I got to see it. And I also have to see this. A really struggling offensive team like Tennessee can be at times. Yes, last Saturday, only 4 turnovers. Great win on campus at TBA. But they're not going to play NCAA tournament games in Knoxville either. I got to see a Rick Barnes team score enough to win 4 games to get to college basketball's promised land, to a Final Four. I don't think they can do it 4 times in a row.
Yeah, they've given us reasons to doubt them again, and I tell you, I thought early in the season, you're looking at it and you're thinking, all right, hey, this kind of looks like last year where you've got a Dalton Connect type guy and Chaz Lanier, and the offense is going great and everything's flowing, but then it's like, well, what happens? You sort of hit SEC play, and you're playing some of these teams. They're going to defend you a lot better than most of your non-conference schedule, and this is what happens. And so, yeah, it's a little bit concerning. Again, there was a stretch there where Tennessee was winning games, and I still was like, I'm not convinced that they're winning. Even the Mississippi State game, I think, was a great example. They won that game, I think, 68-56. And I'm like, I don't feel like Tennessee played that great, except for on the defensive end of the floor. And so, the Georgia game, I think the game before that, they had 20 points with like a minute to go in the first half. And again, good defensive team in Georgia, good defensive team in Mississippi State, but those are just kind of the things where I think you look at this team, and tonight's going to be a great example of that because, Missouri, as we said, is red hot. And I think Missouri's the kind of team, they don't mind coming out and just punching you in the mouth right from the start of the game. And if Tennessee all of a sudden finds himself, let's say, down 8 to 10 points, Caleb Girl gets hot or whatever, Tennessee chasing from behind, we saw how that worked out offensively against Kentucky. They had 11 of 45 from 3 or whatever it was. I don't think Tennessee's ever going to shoot 45 threes again. But it's like you kind of know what you need to do to put Tennessee on their heels offensively. And I think, again, this is going to be a great test tonight, but really going forward, like you said, Brett, they can put it together defensively, no question about it. But can they put it together offensively? We'll see. But I'm not as confident as I was about, a month or two ago.
Yeah, well, it's a couple of really good games tonight, especially that Missouri-Tennessee game on SEC Network. But, Blake, before we let you go, we're getting score predictions and winners for the Super Bowl from all our guests. So who do you got this weekend, and what do you think the final score is?
I tell you guys, I don't know how many seasons in a row I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I say until somebody beats them, I'm going to keep picking them.
Safe bet.
And so I'm going to stick with my preseason pick of picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. But I'm sticking with it in the preseason. I'm actually changing my opinion and picking the Eagles in this one because there's something about it. I feel like this is kind of the Saquon Barkley effect. So I'm going to go, 27-24 Eagles.
Very good. Oh, trickeration on the pick setup, too. I like it.
Hey, you gotta sometimes just go with your gut, right? And of course, picking against the Chiefs, what could go wrong with that?
That's right. Good stuff, Blake. We look forward to having you back with us next week. Enjoy all the ball.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Blake. Blake Lovell joining us to talk some SEC basketball from the Southeastern 16. What does that make us?
4-4.
4-4. Wow. It's a pick 'em.
Pick 'em game.
It is.
1.5 pick 'em, isn't it?
It feels like we're going to get that all week long. I mean, heck, we're halfway through the week, and it feels like we're going to get a lot of that.
Blake Lovell joined us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the hometown teams like the Memphis Grizzlies and big supporter of Tiger Athletics. You'll see it tonight if you go to FedEx Forum, all the signage and the ribbon boards supporting the Tigers. That great location at 4542 Poplar. With Valentine's upcoming, that's the place you need to be. Bill Jones and his great team, they're here to stay. The Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, wedding bands, the perfect statement you can make for Valentine's. And gals, you can buy for guys as well there. And guys, you better get to that 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more. Since 1970, with all the great locations across the Mid-South, Sissy's, they offer a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. The official jeweler for the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum with the floor seat lounge. And at Grizzlies games, you can go down and look at those beautiful display cases they have there. Just a bit of what you can see at Laurelwood. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary experience because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, we're counting down the hours before the trade deadline. The latest trade from Shams Charania, the Washington Wizards are trading Jonas Valanciunas to the Sacramento Kings for Sidi Sissoko and 2 second-round picks, sources tell ESPN. So our old friend JV.
On the needle moving. How much does that move it, Landon?
Landon loves JV. So.
That's my guy.
That's a big mover for you then.
It is. I don't know.
He's on an actual team now.
Well, right. that's true. He's definitely upgraded.
Not playing just to top the 73 Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes. I mean, I already have my Washington Jonas jersey, so now I guess I got to get a Sacramento Kings one.
How can we never see it?
Yeah.
I don't really wear basketball jerseys around, but for you, Brett, I'm going to start.
Do so.
Yeah. I expect it tomorrow. No,
fine. It'll be a Washington Wizards jersey.
You know, I come in with my John Conchar jersey on every now and then.
It's just under your button down.
Right,
so
right.
Well, I'll have it on under my hoodie.
At any minute to rip open the button down.
On the ready.
Reveal your Conchar jersey. Well, we'll keep you updated on any and all trades that take place as we get closer to the deadline. But let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, fun little exercise with it being Super Bowl week. We're going to go through best 6 players on the field for Sunday's Super Bowl 59. We'll do that when we return. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Sports Time.
shell replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 91271-5199.
I'm so excited.
I had a feeling you'd be excited.
That doesn't even begin to describe how I feel about the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Well, technically, it's the same location.
Same location, but a very different Central Barbecue on Central.
I get what you're saying, but I don't want to confuse people. The new Central Barbecue location on Central is the same place as the old Central Barbecue on Central.
But it's so much more. It's big, for one thing.
It is a whole lot bigger. Well, I mean, I think it has to be.
Because everybody in Memphis is going to be flocking to the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Where the old Central Barbecue on Central used to be.
Details.
This ain't the little itty-bitty teeny-tiny bowl, it's the Super Bowl. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and the code is heard for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Join us celebrating 26 years of Napa Cafe. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad, or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. I'd sure love to see you.
Afternoon, it's trying to build with a little bit more volume in the last few minutes on 240 East from Mill Branch all the way out to 385. Still looks good right now outbound on Sam Cooper. We've watched an increase in the Midtown area in certain spots, especially I-40 over here at Danny Thomas as that traffic picks up 40 westbound across the I-40 bridge back over into West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We got to get back into the Super Bowl conversation, and let's get to some best players out on the field. Best six that'll take the field Sunday night for Super Bowl 59.
This could almost be a precursor to how many Hall of Famers are on the field that we do next week with Bo.
Yeah.
This is kind of a test vote for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, certainly.
Landon, do you have a kicker on your list?
I do not. I do not have a kicker.
Bryant?
I have a kicker on my list.
Hometown team or Harrison Butker?
Harrison Butker.
Yeah. He could be on his way to the Hall of Fame.
He could. I mean, looking at my list right now,
it will be a while.
It will be a while, but I got a lot of guys that could be in Canton one day.
All right, fire away.
All right, I will start with number 6. It is Harrison Butker. Just if you want a consistent kicker, that's your guy.
I almost did at 6, but I didn't.
Yeah, I have him at 6, just barely in there. But with how good of a kicker he is, how consistent he is, I've got to put him at 6. Number 5, we're gonna go with an offensive lineman, Jordan Mailata, who has been terrific. He has been unbelievable for the Eagles. I have him at number 5. We're going to go back-to-back offensive linemen because Lane Johnson, if you're going to talk offensive line play, how could you not put Lane Johnson in there?
I have Lane Johnson at 5.
Wow, all right. So we're in that same neighborhood there. I've got him at number 4. Number 3 for me, Saquon Barkley. He has been he's been incredible this year, and at his age, doing what he's doing, getting that 2,000 yards is incredible with a new team. Felt like he was out for revenge just against the league in general for what the Giants did and letting him walk. He's pretty angry. And then I don't know if you saw this, but Jameis Winston, for whatever reason, is doing work with Fox Sports this week and going around asking interview questions to people. And he asked Saquon Barkley where he could get a job. I need a job now. I'm a free agent. What team do you think should pick me up? And Saquon Barkley goes, I think the Giants are looking for a quarterback.
Ooh. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That hits.
I think the Giants are looking for a quarterback.
That's rough.
They sure are. So I have Saquon at number 3, 2, Chris Jones, and then I think unanimous number 1.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. If you're making a list, best 6 players on the field, Patrick Mahomes has to be number 1.
He's arguably on a list for best 6 players all time.
Ever, yes. So he's got to be number 1 in this.
For sure in Super Bowl history, if not league history. Mm-hmm. Certainly now, and certainly Sunday.
Yep, that's right.
All right, Landon.
All right. I went with the lineman route as well.
Love it.
My number 6 is where I have Lane Johnson.
That's people that know football.
That's right.
Oh, well, then get ready for number 5. I have center Creed Humphrey.
Good one.
Very consistent player.
I don't have a lot of R. Humphrey. I love that y'all did.
Yeah.
Well, y'all know more football than I do.
I don't know about that.
I wouldn't put that to the test.
Leader in the clubhouse.
At number 4, I went with the defensive tackle for the Eagles, Jalen Carter. Has been causing a lot of havoc this year. Been a very good player. Staying with that same theme, at number 3, I have Chris Jones, defensive tackle for the Chiefs. I feel like he's been the most solid player on the Chiefs defense for however many years now. My number 2 is Patrick Mahomes. Put him at number 2, specifically for this year. This year, he has not surprised me. I think there's a reason.
We are talking about Sunday. We're not talking about for a career.
That's right. Yeah, I know. But this year, he just hasn't blown my socks off like he normally has. Personal opinion. You guys probably disagree.
I do.
But I think there's a reason why he wasn't in the Pro Bowl this year. Wasn't selected for it, and obviously he's in the Super Bowl now. But to me, the star player, the guy who you heard Todd talk about it, the guy that everyone's game planning for, number 1, Saquon Barkley.
That's right. I can't argue with that. It's a different way to go about it.
I feel like Saquon Barkley, I feel, is a bigger problem.
My list feels like I did a list from People magazine. Almost like who's the most popular at media night. I hate my list. I like y'all's a lot better than mine. Number 6, A.J. Brown.
That's a good one. First off, I think A.J. Brown should just be on this list for the amount of sales he did for a random book he decided to read on the bench.
He did, and he can parlay that the rest of his public life into something.
Yes, he can.
Number 5, Lane Johnson. Number 4, this is more important player on Sunday. Maybe not best anymore because it's diminished, and this year hadn't been great. But Kelsey.
Yeah. I did my list, and I looked up, I go, where's Travis Kelsey? And I was like, he's got to be on here somewhere, and I just was out of spots.
3, Chris Jones. Love him. 2, Saquon Barkley, and 1, Patrick Mahomes. And to think of Chris Jones on this date, on National Signing Date 2013.
Yeah.
12 years ago today, and that was the big Hugh Freeze, much acclaimed class. Had Robert Kimdiche, arguably the number 1 player in the country, and others.
Yep.
Laquan Treadwell, and others.
Really good class.
And the morning of National Signing Day, faxed in Chris Jones from Houston, Mississippi, to Ole Miss. Ole Miss had him that day.
Cow.
But at that time, I think both parents had to have signatures on the national letter of intent. And the mom said, no, never. And as the day unfolded, State got him. And that day, the whole world thought Ole Miss won the national signing date, and certainly between those two.
Oh, yeah.
And I like Robert and Denzel Kimdiche a lot. I mean, pretty good buds with both. But it's just it's no doubt who ended up having.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Jones is going to Canton.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jones.
He was better at He was better at State than Kimdiche in light years in the pros.
Yeah, I mean, his career has been phenomenal, and
I thought Robert got too big and too bulky and lost the ability to kind of fend a guy off. And he wanted to get massive, and he did. I mean, just a workout. I mean, just Adonis.
Good for him.
But he couldn't get after the quarterback that well. He was great against the double team, but because he drew a double team, and often that would open up Denzel at linebacker, kind of playing on the outside. But he got too big to play inside. I thought he was born to play more on the outside and get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's not Chris Jones's forte. He sometimes does.
Yeah.
But he's great. Kind of right over that guard center spot.
Yeah, you can put him at several different spots, and he is
great.
Incredible. Yeah, he's awesome. And so, I mean,
I was told last night that Chris Jones and Hugh Freeze are still really good friends from his recruitment.
Is that right? Wow.
That they text a lot and stay in touch a lot.
I like hearing stories like that because you always
and we don't always hear it in Egg Bowl world.
It was certainly
everybody
not
thinks
there.
we have to hate each other.
It feels like you hear the bad recruiting stories way more than the good ones. You always hear of, I told this coach that, I was really good buds with that, hey, I'm going to go to this other school, and he blocked my number, and I saw him the next year, and he didn't even look at me. But you never hear the stories of, I made, the decision to go to a different school, but me and this coach are still really tight. And you see it every once in a while with handshake lines and stuff like that, and you'll see a coach really, give an extra hug or something to a guy that you knew they were recruiting. I like those stories a lot.
Mississippi State doesn't need me making any suggestions to him, but his number should be retired at State.
Yesterday. I mean, it should have already been done, but it definitely should soon. He's incredible.
And right there in the backyard at Houston, Mississippi, and had him briefly that National Signing Day.
That's right. That's a crazy story. That is just an insane story. And then for him to land at Mississippi State, only to get worse.
And be one of the greats.
Yeah.
Was great there.
He was. He absolutely was. And just, from the morning of, we got this guy to not only do we not have him, he is going
The last time I saw Robert Kimdiche was at Radio Row 7 years ago, Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis. And I saw him, and he literally picked me up over his head. I was way up there. I said, Robert, please set me down.
Please put me down.
I could break easily.
We're on Radio Row right now. Please release me.
Great guy.
That's awesome.
And it just didn't work out in pro football for him.
No, it didn't. But that's a great story. I want to go back to this story about the NFL going to Melbourne for a second, because I'm now seeing the Rams are going to play in Melbourne for that first game. So we at least know one team that will be playing. They will host the game in Melbourne, Australia, so they'll be the home team.
Well, they're closer than the Giants are.
That is true. That is that's a good point, I guess.
That will have to be opening game.
You got to imagine. I mean...
Or would it? You put it in the middle of the year, and then you have them an open date behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be special. However they do it.
I don't know that you could put it opening day. That could wreck you for a while. Body clock.
Oh man, no kidding. I'm curious what the temperature is like in September in Melbourne.
I got nothing on it. I know it's always hot at the Australian Open.
Yeah, it's
not
that's
bad. It's January.
64 high, 49 low. So, I mean, it's not be cold if you're playing at night, I guess.
I know people have gone, had fabulous, fascinating trips, talk about how great it is. You could not make me go. I'm doing everything I can to never. I know that I won't. I will never cross that international date line.
I think I'd go to Australia. The animals freak me out.
I'm not going left.
They got some big spiders over there.
Yeah, I'm not.
A lot of snakes.
It just doesn't do it for me.
No, it would probably be. I don't have the knack. I know there are a lot of people out there that love traveling. I'm not that type of person.
Me either. And my parents loved it.
Really the only two
No,
places, Italy and Australia. Those would be the two for me.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
And from here on, I do want to go to the British Open in a few years.
Yeah.
That's about it. Leaving the country and everything else, I want to see every square inch of this great country.
Yeah,
there's still a lot I want to do
right.
here.
Forget international.
Yeah,
give me the 50 states.
What's your number 150 states that you'd like to go see?
Number 150 states that I'd like to go to. Oh, good Lord.
You're not going to be shocked by mine.
I know I'm not going to be shocked by yours.
I want to be at Mount Rushmore on the 4th of July.
Oh wow, that would be great. That would be incredible. Probably like somewhere up Pacific Northwest, maybe. Like
Seattle's big on my list.
Yeah, Seattle would be cool, and not just because I enjoy their teams, but no, I mean like somewhere up there.
I want to be in that Space Needle.
Yeah,
before
that'd be
I
fun.
croak.
I don't know. Heights and me don't.
No, it doesn't bother me at all.
It's not my.
I want to
thing.
sit by the window and see everything.
No, I want to be as far away from the window. I don't like going over bridges.
Speaking of Space Needles, I mean, can't swing a towel without hitting a Space Needle. There's one in Toronto.
That's right.
Rob says it's great.
Yeah. So, I'm sure we'll get a visual of that tonight before the the game.
You know the dirty little secret though. I love those. They call them the round town shots.
Yeah.
They're not close to live. No. And some of them, like in the network world, in even FanDuel Network, they're kind of packaged. Like you may see around town that shot tonight in Toronto, and the next team that's part of the FanDuel Sports Network, they may roll it.
Get the exact same one. That's hilarious. Yeah.
I had no idea. Rob told me. I said, just nothing's real.
Well, you told me that probably about a year ago. You were one of those,
I had no idea.
Games. You're like, yeah, all this is fake, right?
I thought they went and put it in a can, maybe that afternoon.
That day, have somebody with a camera go out around the town. Makes sense.
And I was told in St. Louis a lot of times, tonight at Busch Stadium, you'll kind of see that shot looking, down the street from the Stan Musial statue. Might have been 2 weeks ago. Nothing's real.
Nothing's real, but I guess it makes it a lot easier for that broadcast than to, hey, go out there and shoot great film for us for tonight's broadcast. But no, this was a fun exercise putting together the best 6 players.
Are all those we named Hall of Famers? Will they all pop up next week on our Hall of Fame list that played?
They certainly could. I mean, I think
some will have a long wait.
Oh, yeah. Our 3, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Saquon Barkley, they're all going to the Hall of Fame.
And for me, Kelsey.
Kelsey's going to the Hall of Fame for sure.
Lane Johnson.
Lane Johnson's going to the Hall of Fame, absolutely.
A.J. Brown, some work,
but I think,
fill in the back of the football card a little more.
Definitely get in there.
4 or 5 more years.
I think, it might be a long wait. But
now, one thing that's going to hurt A.J. Brown, it's hurting all the receivers, is the logjam at receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, it's lined up wingtip to wingtip of guys that should be in. Like Torrey Holt, I think, is a slam dunk Thursday night.
For sure.
And a long oversight for years.
Tomorrow night, we'll know the names that are going into Canton. That'll be fun.
Eli Manning on the list.
Yeah, so
we'll see.
It's a good group. So.
I want it badly for Eli, but I want it more for his dad.
Yeah. So we'll see tomorrow night who gets in there and who's not. We tried to get it out. We tried to get a little insight earlier this week.
He wouldn't.
We couldn't get anything. But let's go ahead and get to another break. And when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 new airlines and the largest patch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop
Happy Valentine's Day from Gould's, where love is in the air and so is a sweet deal. Buy $200 or more in Gould's gift cards and get 15% off. Treat your Valentine or Valentine's to a little pampering, relaxation, and style from Gould's. This Valentine's special offer is available online and in store in Gould's February 7th through the 14th. Just go to GouldSalonSpa.com and use code LOVE25 to purchase online. Gould Salon Spa, wearing red since 1932.
Corky's Barbecue. Cooking it up. Down home way. Hickory smoke flavor like the good old days.
Hey y'all, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. With over 175,000 cars served in our drive-thru, 4,000 online pickup orders, and 1,500 party packs delivered to offices and events every year. Corky's is your trusted go-to barbecue for parties. Our party packs start at just $6.99 per person. You can choose 1, 2, or 3 meat combos and pick your favorite sides. And as you know, Corky's always gives you plenty of food, so you never worry about running out. Whether it's pickup or delivery, we've got you covered. Corky's makes it easy to impress your guests. Visit Corky'sBBQ.com to order for your next dinner.
Encore flavor. Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 once again. Brett Roserly and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, my big number, it's got to be the number 2. It is a college basketball big number, and it was actually has to do with the game that you were in attendance for last night, Brett. Ole Miss, a 98.
2 being me and John Harden, and neither one of us needed a bail bondsman.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. Yeah. I mean, that might be the number of the day. No, this big number has to do with Kentucky and kind of their lack of production last night. Trent Noah and Ansley Almoner, 2 guys that play decent minutes, especially with the injuries, having to step in and play minutes. Well, last night, both of them recorded 13 or more minutes last night, but didn't record any stats at all. No points, no fouls, no turnovers, no blocks, no steals, no assists, no rebounds, nothing. Straight goose eggs last night. This comes from the field of 68. The last time a team had 2 players go for 12 or more minutes, each with 0 stats recorded, was Idaho State on February 7th, 2015. It just doesn't happen, but it happened last night in the Ole Miss and Kentucky game.
That's a great stat.
It's crazy. It is insane. But, you know, it's something you don't see often, and certainly I don't think either of these guys are guys that Kentucky really wants to call on, but because of injuries, they got to play minutes.
Yeah, I understand. There are a lot of players out. Tell Tennessee about injuries. Tell Arkansas with Boogie Flan.
Certainly. But, you know, when you come in, got to do something. Yeah. And last night,
no excuses at Kentucky.
Goose eggs for both those guys.
I didn't think I I would be very close to a big number of yours, Dave, but we are close.
That, okay.
Mine's 1.
Okay.
And I picked out this because it's my favorite Super Bowl nugget, stat, tidbit, throwback, anything. The number 1, it's the story of Percy Howard. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
You have?
I've not.
Would you know what team he played on?
I have no idea.
You have on a hat from the team he played on.
Really?
Percy
Cowboys?
Howard with the Cowboys.
Okay.
Gil Brandt told this story one time at Radio Row, and it blew my mind. In his career, and this is a guy that Gil Brandt signed out of Austin Peay who never played college football, never played a down of college football.
Really?
Was 6'4", 6'5", swing man, played on the great Austin Peay teams with Fly Williams. Gil Brandt would almost every year on a flyer sign a basketball guy.
Okay.
Signed Lon Kruger one time. Never played college football. He signed Percy Howard. Percy Howard had 1 catch in his NFL career, and it was on Super Bowl Sunday, 1977.
I knew when I said yes. I said I know that name sounds familiar, but I don't know why I know this.
Super
name.
Bowl 10 after the 76 season, 77 Super Bowl in Miami. Steelers, Cowboys, classic. If Joe Namath didn't make the Super Bowl, the Cowboys-Steelers matchups did. And he played basketball at Austin Peay, and not only did he have only 1 catch, regular season, Super Bowl, playoffs, anything. That was it. Far touchdown that day. That was his last NFL game.
Really?
What a day.
First catch in last NFL game.
In his last game. After that, a couple of injuries that always would knock him out, and then finally he was done. Wow.
That is insane. That's such a good number.
Gil Brandt on these airwaves said if he doesn't get hurt, he said he goes on and he said he's Drew Pearson.
Wow. Okay, that's a good number.
Yeah, I love that story. My favorite Super Bowl story.
That's a really good story, and keeping it with the Super Bowl theme this week for big numbers. So I guess we got 2 more before we're to the weekend.
And any way to work in Fly Williams in the story.
Oh, such a great name.
Because it made for the ABA, wasn't he?
Sure was. I mean, that if you ask me what name played in the ABA, that's the first one I'm going with.
With Bad News Barnes as a teammate.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. That is really, really good stuff. And we just keep getting closer to the Super Bowl, and I'll be curious where we're at the end of the week with who leads our picks for Eagles and
we'll make our
Chiefs.
Picks Friday. At 5:30.
Have you decided? Do you know? What
I am. I'm going to go with it.
Okay.
I have. You?
I know who I'm rooting for. I don't know if I know who I'm picking.
I have no rooting preference. I care, and I'm going to watch every play, but I'm not opposed. I'm not that far. Want a classic?
I mean, I have a bias towards one guy, I should say, on a team.
Who is?
DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't know if we were revealing anything. I mean, he left the Titans on peaceful terms. He was happy with that organization.
Well, we're the show that reveals everything, Landon.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
always reveal.
I didn't know if this was a story I should say, but he was really happy with the organization, but it just wasn't a fit, and he's starting to get up there in age with the NFL. So if there's going to be any time for him to chase a ring, now's the time to do it. So. I'm rooting for D-Hop.
Yeah, why not?
I'd be happy for A.J. Brown. There's not that lifer, though. In fact, I Googled and tried to find these 2 teams, and I guess I wouldn't hit the search right, of what players played in the most NFL games between these 2 teams to have never won a Super Bowl. Wouldn't be many for Kansas City, but we do know rosters turnover. You might get a vet late in his career. I couldn't find it, so I'm always kind of for that guy around any championship time, World Series or.
Yeah, those are good reasons. I mean, and I like where you're at, Brett, where it's like, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the Super Bowl, and if there's a good play by one team, I can get excited about it.
I'll have my square numbers.
Yeah, well, of course you will. Yeah, you gotta start lining those up.
Not one thing you can do to affect that.
No, certainly not. But no, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Not one thing I can do cheering to affect it.
No, well, you can cheer harder. That's what you can do.
The second Eli Manning Super Bowl. It was coming down just like the first one. I was nervous wreck. Wanted it so bad for him because I knew it would be big for that Hall of Fame resume. May not be enough for Thursday night, but I think eventually he will get in. And it's coming down just like it was. And I said, I can't take it. between the Cardinal World Series, like right before that, I said, sports is about to drive me crazy. So I'm going to walk down to the end of the neighborhood, cul-de-sac. I said, I'm going to walk down to the end of the street, come back, and whatever's happened. I can't do anything to change it. Got up, walked out, got to the bottom of my stairs, said, I can't do this. Had to go back inside and watch it.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, you're close, though. I guess that's all that matters. Let's go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to another break. When we return, talking some more college basketball with Kevin Sweeney.
Since 1948, in the alley, the rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or in our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
This ain't the little itty-bitty teeny-tiny bowl, it's the Super Bowl. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and the code is heard for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Good afternoon. It's been pretty quiet out here in the last 15-20 minutes as far as serious wrecks. We've seen a couple of fender benders. Now it is cranking up just a bit more in the last 15-20 minutes through Midtown as you work your way I-40 here at Danny Thomas, back across the Hernando de Soto Bridge over into West Memphis. We're expecting to get a little bit busier in the next 10-15 minutes on 240 going eastbound from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. LLV offers everything a fun couple or single could want. Luxury lifestyle vacations, offers all-inclusive resorts and cruises all over the world. Just Google llvclub.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ WQQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Dave Willotion weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again,
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some college basketball, Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated. He joins us every week. Go give him a follow on social media at CBB_Central. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. We're now officially to February, only a month until March Madness. When you look at the Memphis Tigers, how they're playing, stacking up wins, we know this conference is, well, we'll just call it what it is. It's a really bad conference, but they're stacking up wins. Where do you see them as of right now on February 5th? Where do you see them on the bracket? What seed are you envisioning?
Yeah, right now I still have them as a 6. They'll be a 6 in my update Thursday morning for Sports Illustrated. I think that 5-6 range is about right. You know, the hope, if you're Memphis, is that others lose around you more than they gain. We've seen some teams here in the last couple days and weeks start to surge up. Missouri would be a good example with that huge road win at Mississippi State the other day. But, with that, some of the wins for Memphis continue to improve, namely that Missouri win.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect system by any means, but as you keep winning, I don't foresee them falling anywhere below that 5 or 6.
Who's a team or teams that the Tigers, that they have the good non-conference wins against, like Missouri, like Ole Miss, that they really need to do well, that they're pulling for them every time they go out, like tonight for Mizzou?
Yeah, look, I think the Michigan State win really started to feel some weight, and now they just lost 2 in a row out in L.A. So that would be the one I would be tracking probably most, because if you have a neutral court win over a Big Ten champion, I think that says a lot, right? I mean, so much of Memphis's struggle from a resume perspective is trying to prove to people that they're as good as the teams at the top of these other, top conferences. And, to have a win over a potential Big Ten champ, I think would speak volumes about where they are. Now, obviously, Michigan State has a lot of work to do to get to that crown, but that would be what I'm watching.
Yeah, absolutely. You did a story over on Sports Illustrated about some of the coaching hot seats to watch, and I think that's kind of been in the news. Speaking of teams that Memphis has played, this wasn't a team they played in the regular season, but certainly an exhibition against North Carolina. A lot of talk around Hubert Davis. What do you make of his job stability right now?
I would be surprised if they made a move this spring. I think it would take, something catastrophic down the stretch, right? If they fall apart and it's ugly and it's hard to justify how he runs it back. I mean, look, I know we're a short attention span world, but they got a 1 seed last year. They made a national championship game 4 years ago, right? Like, this isn't completely cooked, right? They've had success. So I do think there's going to be some modernization that needs to take place and changes this spring, whether that be staff changes. I know there's been discussion. Hubert wants to hire a general manager, which I think a lot of programs will be doing here over the next couple weeks and months. I think they're going to have to make wholesale changes to their roster and to how they operate. But I expect he gets another year. But certainly, if they do miss the tournament, he will enter next year under a lot of pressure to win.
Kevin, if you're North Carolina or you're anybody in really the ACC, anybody in the SEC, anybody in the power conferences, if you don't have a general manager for football and for basketball by now, you're way behind.
Yeah, look, I was having a conversation yesterday with a coach, and he said he thinks it's beyond just needing a GM at this point. You need a personnel department like you have in football, where you have multiple people focused on it. Like, look, expecting your assistants who are doing game planning and scouting to also be as on top of roster management and the stuff you need to be doing in terms of watching games at all levels of college basketball right now is unrealistic. So as a floor right now, you need someone whose primary job in the organization is to essentially know what's going on in the rest of college basketball, essentially a pro scout. Right? If an NBA team would have pro scouts and college scouts, a college team needs to have college scouts and high school scouts.
Yeah,
and Kevin Bryant can attest, last year, and it wasn't loud by any means, and it wasn't even that many people, but the few people that were calling for Penny Hardaway should be fired. First of all, he was never going to be fired. He shouldn't be fired. And I said exactly the opposite should happen. And I'm just using numbers. If the budget was for 100, raise it to 150. If you need 2 assistant coaches, get him 4. Remove every single excuse, any impediment. It's almost like when that big power conference, a basketball coach, I need that basketball only practice facility. Give it to him. You remove any doubt, any excuse.
Yeah, look, 100%. I think, and obviously there's more excuses than ever because of the rev share and some of the money that it takes to win. But yeah, look, I think there's a lot to be said of I think schools need to make sure their own house is in order before they try to scapegoat a head coach, right? You better make sure that you're giving whoever the head coach is every resource to go win. Now, I think the thing that gets challenging is once the guy's on the hot seat, it's harder to raise that money, and sometimes you have to fire guys to go raise money to go get the stuff you need to go win. But yeah, look, I think especially when you have a coach who has some cachet, Hubert would be a great example, Penny would be a great example. You got to make sure he has been given everything, but wins in the win column, and make him go and get those wins.
With that, your beloved Northwestern, how hot?
I don't think hot. I mean, two years in a row into the tournament. Obviously, this year's not been fun. Dealt with injuries. If anything, Chris Collins was on the hot seat 2-3 years ago, and it's quiet. I think for a little bit, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's a guy that people try to interview for some of the other jobs, whether it's Virginia or Villanova. I think there's some time here. I don't know if he's the lead candidate for any of those, but
he's a good fit at Virginia, isn't he?
He's a great fit at Virginia. I mean, I think he's a good fit at Villanova. The Duke ties, I think, would be something that would appeal at both places.
Mm-hmm. The news that came out earlier this week, Leonard Hamilton is going to resign at the end of the season. What does that mean for Florida State and really for this conference? I feel like we talk a lot, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, of a lot of these, older, experienced, legendary coaches stepping away from their programs. What does that mean for this conference?
Yeah, I think it means that Virginia, Miami, and Florida State have to nail these hires, right? With where the league is, they can't afford a down cycle of hiring. And so whether that's resources to go get the best coaches or just good AD work and search firm work and what have you, they better go get good ones. Leonard was incredible at Florida State for a long time. I think this move was overdue. The last several years have not been very good, really since the pandemic. They have not been a very good basketball team. But, it's a place you can win. I think you've seen with the success in the SEC at all these football first places of using that brand. I think that'll be the sell at Florida State. All right, can we get someone who can take the resources of being at one of the top athletic schools in the country and pour that into basketball? They'll have no shortage of suitors.
What kind of package, what kind of deal do you think Miami's putting together?
I think $3 million seems to be the target point for a high major job if you want to be serious. Now, if they want to go out and swing for a fitting high major coach, they may have to push that into the upper threes, maybe up to 4. But I think they can get a very good candidate in that 3 to 3.5 million range and be very competitive in the market.
Indiana on that hot seat list?
They are, and it kind of feels increasingly untenable to bring Woodson back just because of how bad they look when they play back. I mean, they get blown out last night against Wisconsin. Sort of look like they quit. Mm-hmm. I think it is relatively inevitable at this point, save for a shocking turnaround that Indiana's open.
Who's number one choice among IU faithful?
Wish there was an easy one. I think Dusty May would have been. Obviously, the connections to that state, to that program, to Bob Knight. But by all accounts, he's happy at Michigan. And honestly, why would you want all the pressure and all the politics that come with being the head coach at Indiana if you have the same resources at Michigan and then maybe even a bigger overall brand, not a bigger basketball brand, but a bigger school brand?
A lot of people have missed on that job.
Absolutely. So, we'll see. I think there will be some high level names that want it. Chris Beard could be one of them, but I would say this: when Kentucky and Louisville are hiring coaches with 0 combined NCAA tournament wins, I don't think we assume that any school is nailing the big name hire of the cycle. I think there's a real chance you just hire the best up and coming coach and hope it works out.
Last night, there were some really good games. One I was locked in on was the triple overtime game between Clemson and Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech ultimately won that game, back-to-back wins now for them. But when you look at what Damon Stoudemire has done now, year 2 for him, last year it was a lot of up and down. They finished the season 14-18, but had some good wins. They beat Duke, they beat North Carolina, had some signature wins. This year it's kind of been the same. A year right now under 500. What do you make of that program right now and the job Damon Stoudemire's doing?
Highs have been high, right? To beat Duke and Carolina last year, this year to beat Louisville and Clemson, 2 really good teams. Those were huge wins, and the recruiting has been really strong. They have a big-time class incoming in 2025. They've done work early in 2026. They've got young players on this team that could be good long-term. So the talent level is raising. Question is, can they be more consistent? And in this era where the rosters are turning over every year, great to bring in a couple new nice pieces, but can you combine that with some stuff coming back? I think that'll be the big question here in the spring.
Across college basketball, do we appreciate Matt Painter enough at Purdue?
I don't think so. I mean, the job he's doing this year without Zach Edey is remarkable. Like, for them to be in this position to potentially win the Big Ten, potentially get a number 1 seed. They're in that conversation at this point. After losing a generational college basketball player is unreal. And especially like the way that they adjust and adapt to their personnel. I mean, this team on paper should be bad defensively. They're not athletic. They're not very big. They're not like your traditional Purdue. They're really good on that end. Maybe better than they were last year with Edey protecting the rim because they've kind of tweaked some things schematically and found ways to have success. So it's been unbelievably impressive. He's as good a ball coach, I think, as there is in college basketball.
2 basketball coaches at Purdue since 1980.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Gene Cady and Matt Painter. And Kevin, I swear, I think through the years, one thing I've learned, when somebody sets up a question of do we appreciate it enough, then already the answer is no, we don't, or you wouldn't be asking it.
No question. And I will say this: you said 2 coaches. Whenever Painter is done, I think he might have his replacement already on staff. T.J. Thompson.
That's a run.
The point guard for Painter, very similar.
That's an Iowa football run.
Offensive mind. They're gonna try to run this thing, keep it in the family as long as they can.
Wow, that's really good stuff. Brett was at a game last night, Ole Miss in Kentucky, a big win for the Rebels. And when you look at what they did, 98 points, shot over 50% from the field, 24 assists, only 1 turnover, and only 14 committed fouls. I mean, that was really impressive showing for Ole Miss last night.
Yeah, they were super sharp. Now, the only thing I'll concede is it's easy to look sharp offensively against Kentucky right now. They are a bad defensive team. They got work to do on that end of the floor. Yeah, but man, you got to be impressed with the job that they've done. The changes they made offensively. They're hard to guard because everybody on the floor can shoot it. Everyone on the floor can attack off the bounce. It's a scary group when they're playing this well offensively.
Who is the guy for Ole Miss? Brett and I have kind of been talking about this, but you need someone to go get you a bucket. Who is that guy for Ole Miss?
I think throughout the year it's kind of been Padula, and I know he's not necessarily your traditional, explosive shot creator. I do think he's going to have to come from different guys on different nights. I think Murray's ability to get in the paint and distribute is huge, but I do think right now you're probably drawing that thing up and a bounce play for Padula to go make a play.
Across college basketball, who is the guy that everybody would want to draw a play up for?
I think Cooper Flagg would be the choice just because he's so versatile.
Inside,
right? He's big enough to get to the rim. He's got the length. He's got the athleticism. He's got the ability to shoot over people. But it's a really good crop. I mean, the star power in the sport this year is as good as it's been in a while.
Been really good. What'd you make of Arkansas and John Calipari going up to Kentucky, getting the upset win? Very easy for Cal to get his guys motivated for that one, but can that be kind of a launch pad to, maybe bouncing back in the SEC and finding more success in these games?
Yeah, sort of classic Cal, right? Back against the wall. Everybody thinks you stink. Everybody thinks you got no shot. Here they come, right? It's dealing with expectations. Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. So, again, I would not be confident that they're going to make a bubble push here. It starts tonight against Texas on the road. That's a game that, that's winnable. If you've got an opportunity, if you're a tournament team, that's a game you can compete in. But they played really, really well. I give Cal a ton of credit. And I thought they brought energy without being kind of overtaken by the moment. If anything, I thought the Kentucky guys were. I was surprised. I thought Kentucky's so young in terms of big game experience, but none of those guys had played. None of those guys had played for Kentucky before. They don't have any attachment to Cal, and I just think maybe the atmosphere sort of overwhelmed them. They didn't come out the way that they expected.
It's not this Saturday, but it's the following Saturday. Iron Bowl on the hardwoods at Coleman Coliseum, Auburn against Alabama. Both coaches have been to a Final Four with these teams. Nate Oates last year with Bama, Bruce Pearl in 2019 with Auburn. Who needs to be at the Final Four this year the most between the Iron Bowl combatants?
I think Auburn probably would be my choice just because you don't get a team like this often. I mean, this is a truly elite basketball team. Alabama, I think, has some staying power. Not that Auburn doesn't, but when you have a team like this that's 21-1, that's beaten the best in the country, that's only losses at Duke, that has taken every punch and come back stronger, you just feel like it's time. This is our opportunity to do it, and the pressure's on to go win a championship, no question.
Everybody around Ole Miss still talking about last Saturday and saying Auburn's the real deal. That's the team that we've seen come through here or go out on the road that can win it all.
I mean, they are a scary team to play against, especially now that Broom's healthy again, because they just have so many weapons, and they can shoot it from three. They've got the size and physicality up front to destroy you on the glass and at the rim. Hediford, the freshman, is super exciting and fun to watch. They have more ways of beating you, I think, than any team in the country. That's what makes them so scary.
Yeah, the team that they beat last night, Oklahoma, right now, that's now 2 of their last 3 being losses. How do you view this Oklahoma team? Really, really strong. I mean, undefeated in the non-conference slate, but have struggled in this tough SEC. I think Lenardi had them as a 9, maybe
38
in his latest
net.
bracketology. A 38 net, 36 Kimpom. How do you view this Oklahoma team?
Yeah, I'm about there for now. Their non-conference, gives them some grace, and that Arizona win.
Yeah.
Is aging like fine wine. I mean, that's an elite neutral court win. Michigan on a neutral is an elite neutral court win. I think I expected it to a degree that they would struggle a little bit in the SEC. I don't think they're one of the more talented teams in the league. I think it's been hard for Jeremiah Fears, who has just been outstanding, the reclassified freshman, to keep it up as he gets through the physicality of conference play as an 18-year-old who's 180 pounds soaking wet, right? So, I'm not shocked. For them, it's just critical. They got to win some of these home games. You get Tennessee on your home court, and that's not an easy game, but you got to find a way on Saturday. If you want to climb the seedless, you got to find a way to protect home court.
Yeah, you definitely got to. Talking to Kevin Sweeney, joins us every week to talk the college basketball. Rick Pitino, he got a big-time win last night for St. John's over Marquette, 70-64. Really, the only thing it feels like he doesn't like right now is their free throw shooting. That was pretty bad last night, about 50%.
He always has to find something.
Well, yeah, he let everybody know last night about it. But this defense is as good as it gets for St. John's.
Yeah, I mean, look, the game is not the most aesthetically pleasing style, at least offensively, but they are a pain in the neck to score against because they're so athletic. They're so physical. I mean, I don't remember a team that has been this tough and athletic on that end of the floor and uses that toughness and athleticism every possession. I think they're tough to score on. You're going to have to beat them over the top and make perimeter jump shots. Hard to do. Now, they're vulnerable because they don't make perimeter jump shots. They don't make threes. They don't make free throws. So you can catch them on a bad night and see if you can popping enough jumpers to beat them. But you're going to have to beat them from the perimeter, and that's not easy to do in college basketball.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, it's Super Bowl week. We're asking all our guests winner and score predictions for Super Bowl 59. Who do you got
for a gigantic prize package? But got to be local to win, Kevin. We would fly you in if you want it.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up. But no, I'll go Chiefs 27, Eagles 21. They're inevitable.
Another close game, and boy, it's a split decision too.
Yeah, it sure is. It's gonna be a good one. Kevin, where are you heading this week? Any games on the slate?
Nothing too high profile. I got to go to DC for a reporting assignment that should produce a pretty interesting story down the line. But the game I'm heading to probably doesn't move the needle too much nationally.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes open for that. Be
safe,
Kevin. As always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you, Kevin, very much. Kevin Sweeney with us every week talking college basketball. I guarantee you can ask off there when you get Mike DeCourcy on Monday. I've heard him say it a million times on these airwaves. In all his years of covering college basketball, who was the most dominant team? And he will say Rick Pitino's 96 national championship winning team beat Syracuse at the Meadowlands. UMass and Cal was in that Final Four. Mississippi State was in that Final Four. Mark Pope started on that team.
Yeah, that's right.
I was thinking, when I saw Mark Pope last night, I was thinking of that team, and that's when Dante Jones got on his great run at State and shot them into winning the SEC tournament in New Orleans at the Dome that year. And then also last night I saw another national champion from Kentucky, Goose Givens, the MOP of the 78 Final Four. And I was standing there when he was visiting with Sean Toohey, my good friend Sean Toohey. And Sean Toohey, when Goose Givens walked away, he goes, yep, held him to 34 one time.
Well, it's the little victories,
but
I guess.
That 78 Kentucky team was that good.
Yeah.
Not 96 with Antoine Walker and those guys. I think it may be the best champion I've seen in the last 40 years too. Outside of those UCLA teams.
Sure, yeah. Well, and Rick Pitino's got his team locked in right now. I mean, that win against Marquette last night was
Pitino
really impressive.
was coaching this way that year.
Whew, I believe it, and it's his mindset. Defense first, and it'll get you a long, long way. And it feels like he is going.
Guy
to
can
be,
really coach.
Oh man, can he? But. Feels like they're going to be a tough out for anybody in the
sometimes worst enemy's looking back at him in the mirror. But he can really coach. He's good at his craft.
His own worst enemy. But no, it was fun last night, and some really good games tonight, including Tigers and at home against Tulsa here in a couple of.
Did we get our
hours.
Tickets?
Yeah. Had a lot of people calling in yesterday trying to win those tickets. So we were able to give those out.
Well, I hope we have a good crowd.
Yeah.
I'm not going just because it's me. It's not the Tigers.
Sure.
It's Tulsa. That's who it is. I can't see them. But Tiger fans, you should want to go, and I want you to go.
Yeah.
I don't know why there wouldn't be a really good crowd for a 17th ranked team.
Yeah.
It's not that cold.
No.
It's not late.
No.
Okay, Grizzlies are on TV.
Yeah.
But how many is that really knocking out?
Not many, I don't think. I mean, you got a top 20 team, and I think hopefully there is a good crowd there tonight for this one against Tulsa. Back-to-back home games this week, tonight and then Sunday. They'll host Temple, a revenge game for the Tigers. But before we get to a break, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsor. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com. But please head out there and test drive these beautiful vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a Mother Pheasant Plucker, I Pluck Mother Pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch garden videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase a single line Gold Unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com.
Hey y'all, it's the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 14th to the 16th at the Agri Center. Come buy your new boat and make some memories at the lake this summer with family and friends. Premier dealers showcasing the newest ski boats, pontoons, fishing boats with huge show specials. Enter for your chance to win daily door prizes. It's all at the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 14th to the 16th. For more info, go to MemphisBoatShow.com. That's MemphisBoatShow.com. Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Rosworthy and Brian
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending, and what's trending right now is both hometown teams in action tonight. Taylor Jenkins met with the media earlier in this hour and said, this comes from Michael Wallace, that Vince Williams and Marcus Smart remain questionable and will go through pregame routines on the court before a final decision is made on their availability tonight against the Raptors. So still a maybe on both Vince and Marcus.
Only other meeting with the Raptors came the day after Christmas, and that was the record setter for all-time most points scored in Grizzlies franchise history.
That's right, and the Raptors, they are one of the teams that are sounds like are in on Brandon Ingram, and so that would be a big move for them. It sounds
a
like
next year move, a future move.
Certainly a for the future move, but it sounds like right now
time to start thinking about the future when you in the shape New Orleans is in.
Yeah, and for both those teams,
yeah.
I mean, you got to start looking at the future, and it sounds like for Brandon Ingram, Toronto and Atlanta are the two teams to keep an eye on.
Well, that would be he's been with just two teams.
That's right.
Lakers and New Orleans.
Lakers and New Orleans. So this would be team number 3 for him. So
that's not that many.
No, certainly not. When you're talking about the other two,
Jimmy Butler's getting close.
I was about to say when those other two All-Stars that could be moved at trade deadline are Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant. Your third team, that's nothing.
Yeah,
get ready to be like those two, but. Those will be the names to watch as the deadline gets closer.
Point spread for the Grizzlies tonight. What is it?
It's a great question, actually. I don't know why I don't know that.
A friend texted me. The finger is healed. The finger is healed.
Yeah, well, maybe. We still have to wait and see. 10.5 for the Grizzlies tonight.
That big?
On the road, 10.5-point favorite.
You got anything on it?
I do not. Well, Brett 20 seconds ago, I didn't know what the spread was.
Anything on the Tigers?
Nothing on. No, certainly
just
not.
Tiger
on
bankroll. The only thing you let it roll.
Bankroll, and that's what's important. So we'll see how it all falls out. I wouldn't touch the Tigers.
I think I could win Tiger bankroll just playing defense the rest of the way.
You absolutely can. Absolutely can.
No need to go wild.
Oh, well, that's what I said earlier. Is we're both playing small wagers tonight.
25, pretty big.
Not compared to what you'd been throwing out there for a couple games, but
had to get back in it though.
The difference between me and you is quite large. You can throw 25s and 15s and 10s.
I've got Darian and Connor reeling a little bit. They're having to throw deep.
They are. I don't trust this team. I don't know what to do with them.
So, if you ran out of money, here's my proposal. Okay. If you run out of money, if you got down to zero or negative money, if you got down like -5,
okay,
all you can bet is 5. You got to get back to zero.
Okay, I see.
But we can't let somebody get below zero and then go 1,000. You can't be overdrawn.
No.
Just like at the bank.
I like that idea of
if you got down 100, you can only 100 to get back to zero.
Now that I have that in my back pocket,
because I'm worried about y'all.
No, you should be.
Especially kind of reeling, trying to come back.
I'm going to be the sad one that...
And we do not overdraw.
No, but I'm going to be the sad one that gets under zero. I'm going to get in the negative, and then I'm just going to keep shooting myself in the foot and get further back in the negative and never get back to zero.
I thought Kevin Sweeney made a great point about where North Carolina, where they should be right now in the rationale. I mean, they were a top seed last year. He's been to a final game. It's a North Carolina guy through and through. A couple of modifications, get a little more help in, eliminate some excuses, and then tell him this time next year is really critical.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the way it's going to go.
That's fair.
It's very fair. And you look on social media, and I think a lot of people are, fire him, get rid of him, whatever. But, being that North Carolina guy, it's been a roller coaster certainly, but having some success there, I think that will buy him another year. But, yeah, I mean, if things keep going the way they're going right now and you don't change anything and next year you're in the same position, then, yeah, we're having way different conversations about your job security.
Can you believe that one time Mike Krzyzewski and Dean Smith early in their tenures at Duke and North Carolina were heavily criticized?
Wow, yeah. I mean...
I don't know if Krzyzewski makes it now with the start he had at Duke.
Probably not, but, I guess good for him. I don't know.
And Dean Smith infamously hanged in effigy. Yeah. Now, a lot of that was also with racial strife and him wanting to integrate the team. It wasn't all just on the court.
Sure, but, you look at those two schools with Duke and North Carolina, I mean, it's been weird because Hubert Davis gets the job and then is immediately
I'm looking. I had to look it up. Dean Smith went 8-9 first year. 8-9.
Wow.
Let's not play too many games, Carolina.
Yeah.
15-6 his second year. 12-12 his third year.
Wow.
You're fired now.
Yeah. No, you don't last that long.
Then 15-9, 16-11. pretty much with Charlie Scott integration and rolling.
Huh. Yeah, no, I think he's probably safe this year, but next year it's gloves are off. You do this again and you're easily out.
And he would know it.
Oh,
and I think that he would have to know it, and maybe you should let him know it. It's got to be a big step forward.
Yeah, when it goes back to, I think it's very fair to say, hey, we're going to give you another year. Let's see what you can do.
You're not content. We're not content.
Yeah.
What do we have to do?
You make that very clear. Next year's got to be something.
Do you remember when I advocated that for Penny instead of being mad at him and maybe cutting budget or riding him with some little old bogus games? Give him everything he needs.
Yeah.
Remove every excuse.
Yeah. No, I remember you saying that a lot after last year. And so, now you look at where Memphis is and playing really well and, has an opportunity to have a really, really strong win streak or at least a really, really strong record going into the NCAA tournament.
Mike Krzyzewski, year one, 17-13. Now, they weren't that far removed from going to the Final Four under Bill Foster. Mike Krzyzewski was great, but it wasn't rags to riches at North Carolina. They had a prominent basketball history before he got there. They just hadn't won it. Year one, 17-13. Year two, 10-17. 10-17. Year three, 11-17.
Wow.
He's out now.
Yeah, probably. Then
he gets Allery, Billis, Amaker,
one from there,
Dawkins, and rest is history.
Yeah, it's a good point that you bring up, and it's weird to kind of look back at that, but I guess a lot has changed in the game and how we analyze.
And
what
I
these
think
coaches
people are really slow to want to have a firing and pay a coach off because they've never been tighter. Sure. It's never been more scrutinized on travel and hiring because we just don't know where the house settlement, where it's going and what it's going to, and you're going to have to pay that money.
Yeah, no, you are. But, man, it would be wild if you had Miami, Florida State, Virginia, and North Carolina all open this offseason. Again, I don't think it happens because I
wonder who that would make the dean of ACC coaches. Even with Leonard Hamilton leaving, it's going to be might get down to Brad Brownell at Clemson.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it a lot, especially since that announcement came out at Florida State. I mean,
and this time last year, Keats was shaky and goes to the Final Four.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's a completely new look ACC in terms of head coaches.
It is.
And it's much different from what it was, even just 4 or 5 years ago. But the game moves on, and that's what happens. So, Grizzlies. I know what you want them to do. But what do you think happens?
I think they do what I want them to do. I think they sit still and ride this out, see what you have with this team in the 2 spot.
Yeah, I mean, rolling.
Got Oklahoma City coming up Saturday night, and that's after the deadline, and that shouldn't be that big of a barometer. I don't think they athletically roster or quite where Oklahoma City where they are, but it's not that far from it.
No, it's not. It's not.
Now, can you win 2 series and get to the Western Conference Finals even as the 2, and we know where Game 7 would be?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. I would
take it right now.
Sure.
And if Game 7's a 40-point loss, I'd take it right now.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely take it because you just haven't had that. I'm with you. I don't think they make a move. I wouldn't be surprised if they make kind of that small, maybe a depth move or something. But I don't think certainly nothing.
Just glad
big.
Our thoughts and prayers came through for Marcus Smart's finger.
Well, again,
it really worked. I believe in the power of prayer, don't you?
Maybe I believe in the power of prayer,
yes.
But still maybe he hasn't been ruled that he's playing yet. I mean, he was questionable last game.
That's not a magic Aladdin lamp. You don't always get told
that's right.
yes.
That's right. But no, it's still up in the air. We don't know if he's playing yet or not tonight. So we could very well be coming in here tomorrow going, well, how about that? Michael Cole just tweeting out, Brandon Clark, John Conchar, Marcus Smart, and Vince Williams Jr. all available today. So it worked. He's back, baby.
It was us.
I don't want to take too much credit for it, but
We sent out the thoughts and prayers.
We did. That is this show.
That's it.
We're going to send out the thoughts and prayers every time.
We just wanted that finger well.
We do. Jordan Brown last year, Marcus Smart this year.
Saved a sick man.
Well, I guess so.
I mean, well, that's what they told us.
It's true. He did leave the team and then come back, though. So
we made the cripple walk.
That's right. Yes. Oh man, the injury stories the last 2 years have been
sick. He's sick.
That's right. He's sick.
Okay.
Sick for 2 months, a month and a half.
Is he gonna make it?
It's a good question. But
then he made it.
He did make it,
and he was heavier.
He was
when he got returned from illness.
Well, that's what happens. You're laid up.
I guess
you're
so.
Not doing much. It happens. I guess, but good for Marcus Smart. Now with all those guys available, now I guess the question will be how much does or can Marcus Smart and Vince Williams Jr. go? Both those guys have missed significant amounts of time. And what does that rotation look like now with those guys back? I mean, that's going to be the question now.
How great would it be someday in this market to get to where Todd Lebo in the Kansas City market is?
Oh, man, it'd be incredible.
Where it's just second nature. I mean, you just always, or first nature, you're always at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
always in the championship game.
You know it's clockwork. You know how the drill goes, and I mean that'd be fun. That'd be great. And I think the Grizzlies have
now when the ride's over, and I think Alabama fans and Alabama media
they're feeling it for sure
are starting to the next 15 not going to be as much fun as the last 15.
I'd take it though.
Well, nothing lasts. I'd take it but nothing lasts forever.
No, exactly. And so I would take that any day. And maybe we see that with the Grizzlies soon. I don't know, but right now they're rolling 2 seed, and I think you feel pretty good about another win.
Monday
tonight.
night was so fun.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was a
winning is that fun.
It is.
It's the best marketing plan and ticket selling package.
And we talked about to start the show, when you have 2 teams rolling the way that both the Grizzlies and the Tigers are rolling right now,
everything
fun.
feels better. The whole presentation of the game, everything.
Yeah, and so hopefully we were able to come in here tomorrow and talk about another 2-0 night for the Memphis basketball teams. But right now we need to go ahead and get to our final break of the day. And when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 for You, a newly renovated 50,000-square-foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member in both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis, now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Eczema flaring up again. We have good news. Exoderm. If you or someone you love suffers from eczema or dermatitis, get Exoderm, the common sense answer for eczema. This stuff really does work. Exoderm contains the #1 doctor-recommended ingredient in a clean hypoallergenic cream with no harsh additives. Take back control of your eczema with affordable, fast-acting Exoderm Flare Control Cream. Exoderm. It's in the first aid aisle of your local drugstore, supermarket, or big box store.
If you need glass replaced, there's one name you need to know. Gunslinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Gunslinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed
It's 1948 in the alley, the rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdinger. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour from 3 to 6. $1 off all draft meals, $5 off meal drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and pretzels, mozzarella sticks, queso, $4 a day. Friday night lights from 7 closing. Dine in and watch well games day 5 and free. Watch college football every pro game. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland. Highway 70. Fall is football.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the babies crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye, Joe Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, we talked about it to end our last segment. Marcus Smart is available for the Grizzlies tonight in their game against the Raptors. He is set to make his first appearance since December 21st. That is hard to believe. I mean, we're sitting here February 5th.
That was the Saturday of the on-campus college football playoff games.
Wow, that's incredible.
I thought it was longer than that.
I thought it was too, but he's back, and I'll tell you this. I don't know anything. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. I don't know how he's going to look out there. The one thing I do know, social media is going to be hot after the game no matter what happens. He could go out there and have 20 points. There's going to be people going, we needed him. Marcus Smart.
Grizz fam.
He's the trade we needed. He's the pickup we needed. But what I think probably is going to happen, he's going to go out there, probably have a slow night. It's going to be, him trying to get back.
If he's in any deal, he won't see the scorers table.
No, he won't. And I think, availability, that's going to be the thing to watch tonight.
Yeah, that might be an indicator if he's in a deal.
That's right.
What I learned, Ole Miss with one turnover the entire game last night. You have one turnover in the layup line pregame. Something, dribble off the knee in the layup line pregame. It was a great atmosphere, the best first half of any Ole Miss basketball game in history. Maybe the best Ole Miss has ever played in any sport in the first half. Whole building was buzzing, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch them in that performance they had last night. What I could have done without today, that's what I talked about earlier. I mean, the NFL to Australia. Look,
It's starting to push it, isn't it?
It's starting to push. You know, when back in the day when it was just one game in London, maybe one game in Germany, okay. But now we're going to Germany.
And when do we
We're
play in
London.
Thailand?
Exactly. I mean, we're going
play in India.
Yeah, we're going to Mexico City. Now we're going to Australia. I just don't get it. I don't see the idea of growth. This is to get more money and to,
never enough.
It's gonna get more money for the NFL, and that's why they do it. And I'll be watching to see how it fits in, where they place this game. It probably will be a while before we get a lot of information about this. What we know now is it's going to be in 2026. The Rams will play in it, but I don't know. I'm over all the internet. I've never really been a huge fan of the international games. I'm over it for sure.
I could do without this. 14 out of 47 in the net from the SEC. LSU 73, South Carolina's 90. No way 14 gets in the tournament though.
Nah.
But it's all but a certainty now that 12 will get in. That's hard to imagine, but who makes noise? Who really wins and advances?
Yeah, that is the question. Because, it's great to have those teams in, but what do they do once they get there? Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to, I'll never go see Tulsa.
Yeah.
But I hope people do go. I've seen Tulsa in everything you can think of. Football in Fayetteville, football in Memphis, Liberty Bowl even, I saw Tulsa in.
Yeah.
I've seen them in basketball in the NCAA tournament. They're like the old Southwest Conference to me. I just can't take anymore, so send me to the other T-town. Send me to Toronto.
Seen enough of Tulsa. Being me to this SEC game tonight. 15th ranked Missouri on the road against 4th ranked Tennessee. Game they'll start here in just a couple minutes at 6 o'clock on SEC Network. You look at Missouri and the wins that they've picked up, the type of wins they've picked up this year. I mean, night and day difference from what they did last year when they did not win a single game in conference play. Now a road win against Mississippi State, a road win at Florida. Can they pick up another road win on the road in Knoxville against Tennessee? You look at Tennessee, big win for them, their last one out at home against Florida. That should be a really good game tonight.
We'll be listening to see this and hear from the people on the road with the Grizzlies if during the national anthem for the American national anthem, there's booing. It has been out. Look, around sports. Don't boo anybody's anthem.
Yeah, no. I mean, but you're right. That has
Whether
been
you're at the Olympics or hockey or NBA.
Yeah, but that has been a thing going around with the NBA and these fans in Toronto. So, we'll definitely keep an ear out for that, I guess. But, hopefully I've said it a couple times now, but a really good opportunity for the Grizzlies to pick up a win on the road and the Tigers to pick up a win at home.
I'm gonna watch the Razorbacks in Austin tonight. Old Southwest Conference matchup in Austin. Arkansas and Texas playing in a conference game for the first time since they met in the Southwest Conference Tournament Finals in 1991. 120-89. The Razorbacks put it on Texas. Yeah. I was there at Reunion Arena that day.
How about that? In attendance.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing we'll be
Big
keeping.
fun.
Yeah, sounds like it. Another thing we'll be keeping an eye on tonight will be the trade deadline. If any moves are made with the Grizzlies, what moves are made in the NBA. There are a handful of teams that are out there wanting to make a move. We talked about it earlier. Kevin Durant says he has no desire in rejoining the Warriors, but now that the Warriors know that, it's being reported that they're turning all their attention to Jimmy Butler, trying to acquire him, because we talked about it yesterday, Brett. They have been calling every team in the NBA asking about their star players to try to give them somebody.
Any way Saturday night's late news can be topped? No way.
No chance. No chance. It's going to be a while before that is
Imagine the deal that would do that, though. I'll be texting you tonight, content.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. If something does top it, tomorrow would be an all-time content day. But it should be a really good night with all the college basketball, with the NBA, both Grizzlies and Tigers in action. It's going to be a ton of fun. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.